Evening. It is Thursday, July 26, 2018. We're here in the Ayer Town Hall, Conservation Commission. Let's start by checking our agenda. We only have one public hearing.
I would like to amend the agenda to add signing an emergency certification for the drain work at 112 Washington Street.
Okay. Is there someone here for that?
No.
Okay. We'll put that right after the public hearing,
Yep.
I guess. Great. Anything else, Ms. Tillotson?
No.
Just checking. Just seemed the most likely.
Really?
So,
Why is that though?
George doesn't bring stuff up. He just piles on, and there's stuff later on.
And I just got left out of mention altogether.
You're always too busy taking notes. I would accept a motion to approve the meeting agenda as amended.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Excellent. Okay. We do have a couple minutes here. Do we have meeting minutes?
Yes, and George had you sign the minutes from the last meeting. Could you just re-sign them, because the page may be somewhere.
It's been very efficiently filed.
The question is where?
Oh, I know
Yeah.
right where it is. It's in the meeting minutes file folder in my desk.
I see. Can I steal your pen
On
for
the
1
third
second?
floor.
Yeah.
This is from last week?
Yep.
The last one?
Yeah, so you should probably date, well, yeah, you can date it. It doesn't matter when you date it.
Piece of cake. Okay.
You want today's minutes? Oh, right there.
Thank you.
And is Robert coming?
No.
He did agree to it when we did your performance review.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, he put it in his calendar there.
Yep. Not tonight.
I saw Mass DEP send something to Fish and Game on the Nonaquacious. Was it Mass? Who they
That
send it
was
to?
U.S. Fish and Wildlife.
Oh my.
Really?
We're escalating this
Really?
thing. Yeah.
Certainly are.
And who notified U.S. Fish and Wildlife?
That would be moi.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah.
Right up the ladder.
We need more ladders is the problem.
Yeah, you don't know where you go after that. Okay. I have 7 political jokes I'm going to keep to myself. Okay.
I know they'll come out eventually.
They will. Yes.
All right, so we have a whole bunch of site walks that are in here for later, and those are all captured, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
George took excellent notes.
Yes, he did.
Theoretically, Bonnie did too.
I have a couple edits.
Bonnie has a couple edits.
Oh,
Mm.
is it to George's stuff? Because
Yeah, because I read over my notes but you took great notes, George. I could not come close to that at all. Just a couple things. One is, did we get the number of underground fuel storage tanks for was there a number? That,
I don't think they said it.
they didn't say
I
anything.
don't think they
Online.
said, and I don't think it shows on the plans.
I don't think
Because
so
I,
either.
I don't
I
recall.
listened to it.
All right,
They didn't
maybe
have a
that's
number.
something we want to
Mm.
gather. And then for 186 Littleton Road, Brent Routhier, there's no soil pile that wasn't shown on the NOI.
What isn't shown?
Soil pile was
Existing or to be constructed?
to be constructed.
Okay.
Was that discussed at the meeting?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
George.
No, I mean I had it in my notes, so just cross-checking.
Yeah,
And
I'm
then-
trying to remember. Didn't we
Kind-
talk about? We also didn't get the name of the 2 goats. So he was going to. I can't remember if there was going to be a soil pile. Because remember
The slab.
he was building on top of it.
Yeah.
But isn't he putting in footings?
He is digging out a driveway to put a driveway in.
I would think he.
The driveway, remember, was it wasn't. It was.
It's a 3-foot drop, so I don't know.
No, it is paved, right? So the driveway is paved, but then it was a pervious paved area in front of the garage.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Right, we'll have to figure that. No, you're right. We'll discuss that during the site walk.
And then Kyle was asked to look at the FEMA flood
Correct.
maps and to tie it into the elevation.
Okay.
Um,
Wait a minute.
So we should add that as a bullet point.
Look,
Kyle Bouchard,
yeah,
FEMA floodplain map.
yeah.
FEMA.
FEMA.
Yeah, he needs to give us the flood
And
elevation, not
Would you
just a
say
line on
tie
it.
in, and tie into?
Tie into the elevation, what, you know, or not,
On the plan.
on the plan.
Okay.
We also have comments from Mark Wetzel about that particular project that are in your packet.
For 186?
Yeah.
But that would be more for discussion
During the meeting.
next
yeah.
meeting when we
Yep.
reopen.
Yep.
Did you have any other
No,
comments
that's
to
it.
add?
That's
All
it.
right. Do you accept those comments?
You have a choice.
No,
And I put at
but
the
nice
very,
of you to ask.
I put at the very back that the notes were taken by George and then edited by me, just for the chain of custody. Whatever.
And amended by Bonnie.
Well, that goes in the minutes then.
There's a meeting minute chain of custody.
Yeah, chain of custody.
Being
So official.
The cone of influence. Okay.
maybe. Maybe not.
I could have stayed in Connecticut. I was at a very lovely restaurant today for lunch that could have extended to 11 tonight when they closed. Okay. So I would accept a motion to approve the meeting minutes from 7:12 as taken, thank you, by Mr. Bacon, as cattily amended by Bonnie, and as carefully noted by Jess.
So moved.
A second.
All you had to do was refuse to agree. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Can I steal your pen again?
You can.
Do you want one, Bill?
No, thank you. Thank you, I'm all set after this.
The next one.
Is it supposed to have a little ball on it?
Oh.
No, do I put that back on after?
No. Yeah, that's a. You're doing the first ink strike with it. That's its first use. Don't put it back on.
You had to tell him not to put it back on.
Yeah, I wouldn't have done that. Although. Okay,
Got it?
it is now 7:15. Let's reopen our public hearing for DEP file number 100-0425. That's you, Greg.
That's me.
Thank you.
Good evening, folks.
Good evening. Hello. Okay. When we last left off, there was an invoice and a check, and now there's an invoice and a check. And a contract, and we received notes from Ecotech Inc. dated July 25, 2018.
Yes.
Okay. So, for those who may not be aware, Ecotech is the company that the Conservation Commission hired under the consultant bylaw to assist us with reviewing this application due to the importance of cleaning up the oil spill and having the right people involved.
Hi, Paul.
And Paul, you are?
Brian, you want to come up too?
From Ecotech.
From Ecotech. Well, here we go. I thought we weren't going to see you.
I figured I would just come right on up.
And I'm blanking on your name again.
Brian Snow,
Brian Snow. You're from.
OHI.
So I guess just before everybody begins, if I may, I have a copy of the signed access agreement with Seal Harbor for the commission,
Great.
and I have one for each of these gentlemen here, if they would so like a copy. Yes. And due to the ongoing access agreement discussions between council, we have revised our figure 4A and our figure 5A which are current conditions plan and material storage plan respectively. And I just wanted to provide copies of those to each member in the commission, as well as the gentleman here, and I can also provide these electronically. 3 that way, and I can do 2 this way. If you, oh, okay, yeah. And let's see how many, everybody there? Yep. Yes, sir. So, just briefly, what these plans revise from what has already been provided to the commission is that we need to include, as is shown on figure 4A, we need to include another access road from our dirty material storage area next to the impacted wetland up to the stormwater conveyance system outlet at the, southern boundary of parcel 1311. And the reason for that being is we just feel like however things work out at 112 Washington, for us to ask those people for access to their backyard again to run pumps and hoses and generators is probably a bit too much for them to bear. And so we would hope that in lieu of that, we just, continue our access road up southerly to the outlet of the stormwater conveyance system, and that is where that pink or magenta almost parallelogram is. We would look to stage our pump systems as well as our generator systems. And you can see from this figure as well that the stormwater bypass system is going to go behind the proposed house for lot 7, just so that if people decide that construction needs to go during remediation, that we're not otherwise impeding them or making another point for us to have to protect from vehicular traffic. And then on figure 5A, the real important things to note here is that we're trying to provide counsel for Jane Riley as well as Cowfield with enough assurance that our staging area is going to look as is figured here on 5A. And what we're really trying to convey is that the full extent of the cul-de-sac will be covered in these mega deck and or Signal Road high-density mats. We will have our 6-foot high chain link fencing around that structure, and within the cul-de-sac we would plan to have I think only one 21K steel frac tank within a secondary containment, and then depending on how Trident really sees things, if they think they need 8 roll-off containers with secondary containments, we would have them. But my expectation is that they're going to work with their trucking contractor to make sure that what they have in that cul-de-sac is meaningful and operable to people coming in to drop cans off and coming in to pull cans out. But I think the importance that we're trying to convey by this plan is that we plan to encompass all of the paved area with the high composite matting, and we plan to have the chain link fencing around all of our secondary containment structures to keep people, unwanted persons, out of that area. And then lastly, we show that there's going to have to be some staging along Trevor Trail for people who are actually going to do the work on site. Their pickup trucks and or personal vehicles are going to need to park on the edge of Trevor Trail, but we would look to minimize whatever damage we would do by parking those vehicles. We just need to ensure that we keep them all off to the edge far enough that trucks coming in, coming out have adequate room to load the cans and get out safely. And then obviously highlighted in blue there is the existing utility easement, and we think that with a slight depression right at the edge of the cul-de-sac that needs to be filled in, that easement provides really great access up to lot 6 of Seal Harbor, with the exception of, trimming a few shrubs and bushes, we really do feel like we can traverse around the larger vegetation between Trevor Trail cul-de-sac and ultimately getting across the approved wetlands crossing for lot 6 and 7. So that's the additions to these plans that I just wanted to mention and provide to you.
Okay. So thank you for the additional. The last notice of intent we had, the first notice of intent dated May 1st and the addendum dated June 13th. Have there been any changes since that time? Other than these two sheets?
With the
Dated
exception
July?
of those two sheets, no. We have had a discussion with the town of Ayer DPW relative to the local stormwater conveyance system, and from what they have advised us of, there is really no ability for them to reduce the amount of water that comes through that system itself. It's a kind of a localized system that receives most of the elementary and a little bit of the high school, and then a few catch basins along Washington Street. And I asked the dumb question of, can we plug and peg off any one of these to push water a different way without adversely affecting the system? And the answer to that is no. So what we did ask the DPW was to provide us with what they felt was what their system could receive under a worst case scenario based upon the diameter of the discharge piping and the catch basins with which it receives from. And I was sure to tell Dan that the number that he gives us is not the number that we're going to hang our hat on. We're just asking for a little bit of guidance, and then from there we have to use our best judgment to adequately size the pumps and the hoses that are going to manage that. But I don't want to get ahead of myself. I know that's a question under Paul's review, and I have an answer to that, but I don't want to get ahead of that. But I suppose that's the one other piece of the puzzle that perhaps has not been provided to the commission since we last spoke.
Which brings up the real question,
Yeah,
which is, if they do fix all that, where does the water go?
that's the question. So the
Yep.
emergency certification that we're signing tonight is for the DPW to replace the drain line from the
Yep.
catch basin at the end of
Okay.
Becky's driveway.
To the outlet.
Yeah.
Yep.
With something 15 inches instead of what's there now.
Yep.
And they're starting Friday,
Okay.
like tomorrow, Friday.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I told Dan, and we don't know what's underground other than what we saw and could adequately size. But what I saw there was 12. He said their records show 10. What that means to the increase in water, I just know if it's 12 to 18 versus 10 to 18, that's a little bit of a difference. And we feel it is existing at 12 right now, but when they uncover the whole thing,
We'll find out.
we defer to what they say.
Yeah.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, what Trident would propose to install in this location would really be a 3-part system. Excuse me for a moment.
And this is at the end of that property where that DPW's, okay, so.
Where we walked down, stood, and said, wow, what's going to happen to all the water that comes here?
So it's in
Yeah.
And so the answer now is, wow, what's going to happen to all the water that comes here now that we're making it even easier to get here?
I think it's the same amount of easiness. It's just going to be dirtier once it gets there.
Well, it's
Except that some of it used to go over the yard.
and I think it'll all now come
Right.
through hopefully would come through the pipe. But that being said, what we would propose to do, and granted, we still need to review what it is that the DPW gave us, but really would be a 3-part system. One would be, there would be a minimum 3-foot high berm at this outfall. And in order to do that, we need to get an access road up to the outfall, and we need to remediate the impacted areas on 1311. We have dug everything that we feel that needs to be dug on 112 Washington, sampled that, and we have good data. But we know that the outfall itself right now has the speedy dry bags and the poly that was put down on February 2nd or whenever this happened. And so that whole area needs to be cleaned out.
What's that area again? Parcel,
112 Washington.
oh, on 112 Washington?
But this is actually, the outfall is actually on 1311.
That's right, that's
Yeah,
right.
I mean,
That's what
it's like 6 inches over the property boundary, but it's on 1311. And
Okay,
so
that's what I
we've
heard.
dug,
Okay.
we've dug everything we felt we needed to dig that was impacted on 112 Washington. We've replaced the pipe as far as we needed to on 112 Washington. But once it daylights into 1311, it's still within a speedy dry bag berm area with some poly that was put down as part of initial response actions. And so we want to demold that. We want to excavate, clean that out so that we have a clean containment area for all the water that's going to come through the system to be contained within a new berm that's going to be a minimum of 3 feet high. I have all this written down, Paul, that I can give it to you as well. Take as many notes as you want, but I've got this for you, sir. So we'll put up a berm that's at least 3 feet high, and the primary pump would be a 3-inch pump that would be connected to what we think would be an 8-inch hard hose that would bypass along figure 4A here. And then the secondary pump would be a 6-inch pump, and that would be specifically designed for precipitation events. And that would be also connected to the 8-inch by ball valve. And then the third tertiary backup would be an additional 3-inch pump that would be connected to a 3-inch lay flat hose that would follow the hard hose as part of the bypass system. And during any forecasted or emergency precipitation events above what we feel the capacity of the primary 3-inch pump would be, which is obviously TBD, I don't have that in front of me tonight, but anything above what we feel that 3-inch pump can handle would automatically require the contractor to provide 24/7 monitoring of the pumping system to ensure that we can adequately manage that flow by way of those 3 pump systems. And the emergency is going to be the dedication of additional manpower, pumps and hoses on call, to assist. But honestly, if we're above what those 3 pumps could handle, I think we're all building an ark and
Better head for the boat.
looking for something else.
So that's all just temporary during this whole remediation project?
Yeah, really to minimize the amount of liquids that we otherwise have to manage during response actions and to make things cleaner while we remediate, really.
So you said you had a 3-inch pump, then I can't remember the size in the middle, and then another 3.
6-inch, yeah, 3, 6, and 3 is
Okay.
what we're thinking right now, with an 8-inch hard hose and then a 3-inch lay flat as the backup to the tertiary pump.
Okay. Which is wonderful. We just need to leave those in place forever until we know what's going to happen to the water that comes off the street. I just don't even know how we just pretend that didn't happen.
Yeah, I this is out of my scope here.
Well, it's sort of completely in our scope in that the DPW is looking to replace a pipe that, while serving one purpose, completely doesn't serve another. So, there you go. Maybe for further discussion.
Can I ask a silly question?
Please do.
Is there any thought to putting a structure, manhole, stormwater unit?
Well, that was kind of my question, was there going to be a designed way to capture the stormwater at the bottom? But it looks like the only way for that to happen is going to put it on 1311.
Yeah,
What-
talking to Dan, without speaking out of turn, it seemed like it was going to be a pipe, and boy, if there was a water quality unit
Well,
there.
the thought process here is, and I'm not speaking for you, definitely not speaking for the DPW guy. DPW never wants to put any new equipment in. You need something to pump out of. He might need something to
Yeah, I mean, I,
provide water quality.
we could certainly see
If
the
you put a
advantage
unit
in
in
that.
there and put another tile on the top of it, you could probably gravity feed out of the side of it and not pump at all.
We certainly see the advantage of that, but we don't want to, suggest or make more work for anybody. But
Well, so to Brian's point, if you did do that and you put another tile in it, put another ring on. So in other words, this is what you're talking about, right?
Yeah, you
Dump the
walk
outflow
up
in,
Yeah.
and then but you run it in high, and then you come out down below it with your pipe, so that you don't actually have to pump.
boy, I I've been down there. I think that is a wishful thought. If anybody thinks that anything other than a mechanical pumping system is going to manage what comes down off that pipe,
Either way, you need a box to pump on.
I just don't think a water quality unit is going to be large enough, Brian. I think we really need to build ourselves a large diversion area that's going to give us freeboard to manage what comes in. We bound ourselves to 8-foot, 10-foot diameter. No way. I mean, somebody can prove it to me, and I'd be happy to do it, but I'm not going to say that would be feasible.
I think our next issue is going to be to talk to the DPW.
Yep.
Because I don't know. I appreciate that we're prepared to make it worse.
For a small amount of time.
But
What?
I
Well,
think
hold
that,
on, hold on. What amount of time?
The amount of time that the pipe is dug up?
No.
No.
So we're about to put in a pipe that allows more flow to come down off the street to dump directly into a wetland, right?
Well, it's the same amount. The flow isn't changing.
I guess my only feeling is that we're affected. What we're saying is that, well, actually by definition the flow should change because we're going to a bigger pipe, and some of that water that might have otherwise washed off into the yard, etc., is now instead going to go in through the catch basin. It's all going to go down. And what we're basically saying is, yes, please put in that pipe, and on the end of it, don't tell us what you're going to do with it, but dump it right into the BBW.
well, why can't there be a water quality unit on Washington Street?
Well, that was one of my first questions, was
that
why didn't
deals
that be a
with
storm
that.
scepter right up at the road?
Why does it have to be at the
Do we know it's not? Do we know?
Yeah, it
There is
doesn't-
hoods
it
up
doesn't
there
have
now. It's just
Yeah.
I don't know if that's up to spec with what you would want. I can't speak as a attorney.
These just seem like realistic questions for if we're going to dump water from the street directly into the BBW, what can we do to contain it? Can we use a structure at the top? Can we use a structure at the bottom?
I think.
Seem like fair questions.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I think that DPW would do whatever we ask them to do. They are that kind of DPW. I just don't know what to ask them to do. So,
Sounds like our emergency cert conversation later would be much more exciting.
yes.
Okay.
Okay.
So getting back to this problem, so right now, first and foremost is, of course, the stormwater diversion and the stormwater redirection lines, which we just discussed as shown on figures 4A. As shown on 4A, of course, your new staging area as shown on 5A. And we agreed that the original application was on 5/1. The addendum was filed on 6/13. And therefore, the notes here from Ecotech are relating to the last and final addendum. So, unless there's anything else, Mr. McManus, good evening.
Good evening. Nice to meet you all. Quick question for Greg based on what you just described.
Yeah.
You described a berm at the outlet so that you can create a containment area to pump from.
Yep.
What does that berm look like? What's it made of?
Well, I mean, as the LSP, I don't want to speak out of turn for the environmental contractor, but I would imagine this might be super sacks. It could be sandbags. It could be some sort of temporary structure that they construct out of. It could even be wood with an inadequate liner. But to me, I would probably suggest to the contractor that we're either looking at a super sack situation, whereby they're filling those sacks with sand and then lining that with a poly liner, or they're using sandbags to create that.
Well, the good news is that if we can include that when we get to our final, whatever changes have to be made between now and then, if you can ask them what they're planning to do just for the source of, just for the point of putting it on, so that we can ascertain what that's going to be and what's expected.
Yeah, I just want to emphasize the fact that we really haven't been allowed on the site for months, and so it's tough for the contractor to say what he's going to do when you can't walk the site. but we understand what you're asking for.
This, just because I don't know all the names here.
Yeah,
this
so
access
Seal Harbor
which
is
property?
specifically, Seal Harbor owns all of these lots on Nashua Street Extension. So they're specifically going to allow us access from Lot 6 at the cul-de-sac across Lot 7 to get up in here. The issues at hand are Calfield Trust, and Jane Riley.
So this is Cowfield.
This is, that's Calfield, and this is Jane Riley.
Or Riley Jane.
Riley Jane, sorry.
CJ's daughter is named
And
Riley.
this-
Oh,
Riley
okay,
Jane.
that's a good name.
And his son is.
Yeah, and so all this is Calfield here. Seal Harbor, sorry, Seal Harbor.
So Seal Harbor is young Mark Gallagher that we met.
That we met out
Yes,
here when we
yes.
walked.
That's right, yep.
So Seal Harbor
Has,
access is what you just handed us?
yes, and
And
we,
these two are still
pending.
pending?
And the pending was that we added a sentence to the proposed agreement from council that just says Omni and Trident are not directly responsible for the release. If we cause, contribute, exacerbate, we're on the dime.
No.
But we just want to be, in there in writing and saying we didn't actually cause the release. We're here to clean it up. So that was the one addition we wanted. And then what I understand Attorney Marsh requested was a more specific breakdown of what the staging areas were going to look like, so that we didn't show one thing and then get out there and grow it to be a small village, after a couple of weeks, which we appreciate. So we feel like these two revised figures provide for what we need to do and where we need to be.
So do you expect those other two to be signed and sealed shortly?
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
forthcoming.
Yeah,
Excuse me?
They're forthcoming.
Okay,
They're in
and both.
final language on the access agreement, as it'll take a month.
okay.
It definitely wouldn't affect this process.
I talked to their attorney today with Calvin on his speakerphone. He was hysterical. And Jim Marsh, the attorney, was by the end of the day, I guess, going to send final language to Diesel Direct. And it had a couple more stops.
It sounded like it was, I talked to him the other day, he said it was ready to go.
Okay.
There were a couple little things like the map, which answers a lot of the questions.
Mm-hmm.
I think both attorneys are in the same place.
Good.
It's
Provided
about
there's-
getting it shuffled around.
Provided there's no other changes, then both Trident and Omni are prepared to sign.
Good.
So, Mr. McManus, so we're looking forward to, so we've not had an oil spill cleanup to do before. So we were looking for some assistance in making sure that we didn't miss some critical step that we would not be aware of.
Understood. So just for those of you who don't know, I did go and walk the areas that we could, the Washington Street site where we could see there, onto the Seal Harbor property, able to look around there. Basically looked at what we were allowed to tromp around on. So I have a general lay of the land, but obviously haven't been up into Cowfield, which is
Yeah, where the vast majority.
yeah, that's where it's the really interesting part.
I'm sorry, to be clear, we haven't been able to walk the entire project?
No, because we couldn't go on Calvin's land, even the night of our site walk.
Thought that was clarified before the sale.
Yeah.
No, I understand that's clarified, but that would suggest that we don't have enough information to move forward no matter what we discuss tonight, because we're missing the substantial portion of the project.
Well, I mean, without speaking out of turn,
Mhm.
I can tell you that the last inspection that we were able to do with all approved parties, you were there, right, Brian? And, I don't think there's any dispute that the primary impacts are caught up in this 50,000 square foot wetland area, and that is where all the work is. I'm getting into some responses to Paul's questions, but these free-flowing areas where water is moving, there's no surprise that impacts are greatly reduced and hard to find. But you know, we were all kind of patting ourselves on the back by the ability of the wetland to remediate things, and wow, how good is it as we walk the flowing areas, and then we get to the wetland,
Oh, yeah,
and
that's still stuff.
we could smell diesel fuel, and you could see free-phase product caught up, you know, so there's, I mean, us as the applicant are not even trying to argue the fact that the vast majority of impacts are caught up in the area that no one's really been able to see for some time, but we know that they're still there, and we know there's still plenty of work to be done in that area.
Well, I guess it would be up to Paul as to whether he's seen enough or hasn't seen enough of the site.
Well, I mean, I have a general sense of the wetland from, you know, from the Seal Harbor area and from Joanne's description, and from what I've read. So, you know, I don't think that's, I don't want to hold this process up for that, because one of the comments that I did make was, had to do with the seasonality and the fact that
We appreciate that.
you know, really August and September is the best time to do this.
Unlike our hot, dry summer we're having right now, where it won't stop raining.
Well, the dog days of August aren't here yet. Come on.
Until a week ago, that all helped. What I said all helped. But I mean, you know, I don't think groundwater levels are really going to change that much based on this week, assuming we get back into a more normal pattern.
Yeah.
I guess maybe if you don't mind, Mr. Chairman, maybe just run through some of my questions, which is
I was hoping we would.
most of what I have. One question is at the downstream end, what's the basis for your saying that it doesn't extend past the power lines?
Very fair question, Paul, and my answer to that would be that, you know, we had a pretty intensive and involved period of work within the wetland area, until which point, and I don't have the date in front of me now, forgive me, sir, but until which point opposing counsel said, thank you very much, but please do not access our property anymore until we have authorized access agreements. And so these plans reflect accurately what we knew at the time that we had access to the property and properties. And we recognize that the spill happened in a dynamic environment, and that once access agreements are worked out, one of my first marching orders is to go out and ensure that we have identified the downgrading extent. And I just so hope that doesn't put us back 3 or 4 meetings from now, because as you just attested to, we won't get this done this year. This is a bit of a tough nut to crack, where I can appreciate that people can say, well, how do you know where your remediation is going to end and where it's going to you're not going to be required anymore? But I hope we can also appreciate that we haven't been allowed to do our job for months, and so we just can't.
I understand
we just
that.
Can't say.
There's no aspersions cast.
No, and I know that, but I hope that, you know, the commission and everybody would know that we're not looking to omit a portion of remediation. Should we get out there tomorrow and find out that impacts, and certainly Mr. Snow has indicated that he thought he saw impacts farther down gradient, we don't dispute what he likely saw, but we just can't corroborate it at this point. But if we have impacts down gradient that we need to address, my license and the MCP binds me to making sure that we do that.
Okay.
So if I may, so as of tonight, we have an application before us where, and I'm not saying this in a difficult or contrarian way, but where more than half of the project is unreviewed for several months, and the final part of the project we're unsure of is unreviewed.
I guess I would add this. During the initial release condition, we put an oil water separator at the outlet. Within a few days or a day or two of the release, we put in a secondary oil water separator at the crossing near lot 6 and 7 of Seal Harbor. Mm-hmm. And I would, in my 20 years experience of doing this, be surprised if there were significant impacts beyond where we display them now. Would there be a pocket of detritus or organic area that somebody might have to go down with some hand tools and pull something out? Perhaps there is. Is there something that has to be improved with an access road and used heavy machinery to get in there, I would doubt it, but again, I haven't been there, I can't say, but you know, in my experience, these wetland systems are really good at picking up and catching everything that needs to be caught. And I just don't know that a lot got down beyond our second oil water separator by the time it was constructed. So I
guess,
you know,
we're hearing
Yeah.
commitment, an acknowledgement that you need to do more work to verify what you hope is true, which is that there's nothing downstream.
Sure.
And that a commitment to do that, and if you find it, I guess
It's part and parcel of the IRA.
Right. I guess though for the commission, my concern for the commission is that the commission obviously wants this to go forward and for the cleanup to happen, but at the same time, I view my job as helping them keep their arms around it.
Sure.
And I guess what I would suggest in some fashion, whether it's put forward by you or as a condition by the commission, that there be assessment down there, that you provide your findings and a conclusion, you know, your opinion relative to what does and doesn't need to come back down there, and if there is more work to be down there, that it be subject to the commission's review and approval, and that you know be enumerated that way. In an ideal world, if this were a subdivision that you were building, the commission's position would be, no, get all the answers and then come back to us. You know, we'll give you a permit when you get all the answers and we're convinced that you comply. This is a little different, especially in light of the timing issue, in my view. But I think the commission needs to keep its arms around it, as I said. That would be my suggestion.
And that's basically where I would head with it, is so that once the agreements are reached, whether it's before you've completed the process and we've issued an order of conditions, or after that process. The idea would be, once you'd constructed the access path so that there was the clear access through, then we would probably have to enlist the consultant to come back to do a walk in that area and down at the far end area, so that we at least had the ability to go and pass through those areas again. If I remember correctly, when we were standing at the end of the 112 Washington property, the parcel 1311 is pretty thick.
Very.
So if there was a pathway through there, it would be somewhat discovery for you folks, as well as it would be somewhat discovery for us. So that would seem to make sense, just in light of the fact that right now, tonight, the majority, almost the majority of the work is unknown to us, because we haven't walked it. I don't know if that's a fair statement in your mind, but if nobody's walked it, then...
We certainly have, but I understand your position.
I would suggest that Greg's work is going to include probably a day or two of mobilization. That might be a really good opportunity for your consultant to walk the site with Greg and the contractor and the agent and cover any issues that he thinks he needs to address at that time.
That's all I'm looking for. As, you know, to Paul's point, if this had been a subdivision, we'd all be saying goodnight right now.
Yeah,
Because
you're going to get answers on this project. Some of them are going to come at the end. That's the unfortunate part of all cleanups.
I'd say middle, but I understand what you're saying.
Well, you're going to get them throughout. It's more of an iterative process instead of a certainty at the beginning.
That's disappointing.
I'm sorry.
No, I just want to make sure that that everything is captured and that we're not missing anything as we enter into it.
The workflow is also from the dirt to the clean. So if it is there, it's in the process of...
Oh, I was looking at the
direction of
arrows.
flow.
So, as a for instance, the path for cleanup is actually from the area where the
No.
power lines are.
No.
So those arrows are wrong?
No, that's the arrows of how things will be brought up to the containment areas, but we will not start from the downgrading edge. We will start at the upgrading edge and work our way to the end. We just wanted to show the arrows in which direction people will bring things up to the crossing to get things ultimately to the staging area at Trevor Trail.
Okay. And there we have the blue path that's through the thickly settled, the thickly grown area of 1311. There's no path down here. Does that mean there's no need for machinery?
No path.
No blue path?
Yeah, no, again, based upon what we know from when we were there, we don't feel that there is significant remediation in that down gradient channel beyond people walking and selectively removing stuff with hand tools and getting it into bags, containers that will otherwise be brought up to the crossing area. Should we get approved access and get in there and find that it's otherwise, then we need to revise our plan. But I would be surprised based upon the last walk that we did through there. Water moves fast, and that does a lot to dilute and make it go away.
So within that, since we're talking about the down gradient channel,
Sure.
I understand what you said.
Yeah.
So, so how do you, what do you envision the scale of that work to be? In other words, you described what you expect to be a certain number of areas where no work would be required.
Yeah,
And then, well, let me finish. And then, what I'm really getting at is to try and get the commission to get an understanding of how much that channel will be beat up, and therefore the degree to which they need to be concerned about restoring it. I know I've had experiences where, where there was a wetland in a channel and it was totally obliterated, and the channel had to be, reconstructed.
Yeah.
And so what is the scale? What is the scale? I guess
The scale
what I'm hoping, what I'd like to do.
I understand what you're asking, Paul.
Well, let me just finish for the commission. What I'd like to be able to somehow quantify is if a certain amount of work happens up to this, then if it's cleaning up of detritus that's oil contaminated, gets bagged and hauled out on someone's back, then that to me seems like something that doesn't require any restoration. At a certain point, it gets to a situation where some channel restoration is appropriate. What I would like to do is to somehow put a yardstick on that, so that down the road, there's not a situation where there was an area that for whatever reason was contaminated, you had to dig into the bank. It's now materially different from what was there, and it should be restored. So how's that going to happen?
That's a fair question. I just don't feel that you've probably had enough assessment of the site to understand the dynamics of this particular site. There's really not going to be that type of excavation in these lower areas because of the dynamics of the release, because of the dynamics of the wetland, because of the fact that we had a second oil water separator down there. But if you guys want to have some yardstick for us as to how that's going to be done, we look forward to seeing what that is. We really don't feel that there's going to be more than 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 6 inches of excavation. This is a hydric surface water dynamic environment whereby oil doesn't have the head pressure to dive vertically. It drives horizontally. So I'm not sure that you understand the dynamics of this spill and what's actually going to happen from a response action. We're not going to take 6 feet of embankment off of the side of a drainage channel because impacts don't extend that far.
No, I understand. It's not going to be 6 feet.
So we would look for you to provide us with that yardstick to assure the commission.
Hold on a sec, because I'm really uncomfortable with where we're headed right now. Yes?
Might I suggest that the commission include in their orders a yardstick that the commission's consultant will determine any areas of bank that need to be reconstructed, and you could go as far as to give the applicant an opportunity to have a hearing on those issues.
Yeah, I mean, I
That
see.
kind of answers the question. So we're talking about a what if at the moment, and it may be a level of detail that is difficult at this time. It might be easier to have the commission say that the bank will be reconstructed satisfactorily. And
Ultimately, we're here to clean up the oil spill. And it just keeps going on and on and on.
I'm not sure what you mean.
Okay.
No, what do you mean?
Well,
It just keeps going on and on and on.
We would like to get in there and remediate the spill to the satisfaction of everybody involved.
Agreed, but you couldn't get in there tomorrow if you wanted to. You don't have the signed agreement, so that's problem number one. Problem number two, the spill happened in a BVW. So it needs to be put back together after you're done digging it up.
We have no intention not to.
Well, I think that's what we're here talking about.
Yeah, I mean, my goal is to avoid a situation down the road where
Isn't it?
where the commission thinks where your expectations and the commission's are different, and that's why, as I said, in an ordinary circumstance there are no what ifs in the plan because all the information's in the other plans there.
Understood.
And it's difficult there, so I'm trying to go and set the parameters so that everybody understands. And
Yeah.
and Brian's suggestion is a way to try to move forward, and hopefully that would work. But it frankly it puts you in the more difficult position because it's handing over the authority to render that decision entirely to the commission. And
I'm just trying to find a pathway forward.
as am I, as is the commission, and you know, and I'm trying to avoid bumps down the road. That's all.
I appreciate that, Paul.
You know, short of doing, you know, really extensive characterization, you know, and level of detail that's extremely time consuming and problematic in its own right. You know, perhaps Brian's solution is the best one.
I think we were hoping that we could try to work the commission's concerns and your concerns into an order of conditions that would allow, provided access agreements are authorized, this to move forward. And perhaps there would be some interim deadlines that we could provide to the commission and to you to satisfy people in terms of how we look to restore, how we look to replicate, how we look to mitigate, and meet the regulations of the Wetland Protection Act, because it seemed like your comments were more focused on WPA as opposed to MCP, which I can appreciate from their position. You know, me as LSP, I'm a little bit hyper-focused on MCP, as you know, because you do that as well.
Right. So I'm hoping to find the path that addresses both hands. All right. So the you would kind of answer how horizontal vertical depth in that area we discussed. The third bullet there.
Yep.
Talks about will vegetation be spared, and this goes to the fact that I haven't really seen the interior of that. I mean, my guess is, you know,
there are
swamp. There are hummocks that never were subject to inundation and therefore didn't get smeared with oil.
Right, and my two-pronged goal here. First prong is to save any vegetation that we can, minimize the extent of damage we have to do, restoration we have to do, work people have to do. The second prong is that I'm not going to leave something behind that I go, well, is that impacted, is that not? Let's restore this whole thing and clean it up, and then, ooh, wait a minute, something's teasing out under there. Oh, geez, we got to pull this out. So, to the extent that assessment and confirmatory sampling can confirm that we're not going to have to pull out one of these areas, then we'd love to. But if I have any doubt in my mind as to whether something needs to come out versus a whole area that's about to get restored, then it's coming out because.
No, I understand that.
Yeah, but we're not looking to wholesale remove it if that's what your question was.
Okay.
We'd love to leave everything we can.
Well, that's what I expected, but I wanted that kind of to hear that. My other question is on a day-to-day level. If you were out there crews mobilized out there, there are access paths in there, there's equipment and equipment to move. How, as you do this work, there's a crew and equipment out there, on a day by day, minute by minute, how is it decided, what's enough in any given area? Bucket comes out, okay, do we need to go left, right, forward, deeper?
Yeah.
How's that call get made on the ground, operationally?
Yeah. So as part of our excavation activities, we're going to have trained senior environmental scientists on site that are familiar with both olfactory and visual impacts. They're going to have a photo ionization detector on them. They're going to conduct headspace screening methodologies for VOC. And that, is going to help us, along with our professional expertise, to determine and direct excavation activities and identify when we need to collect confirmatory samples. There's going to be a period of time, 7 to 10 days, where, unless we expedite, that samples are going to have to be reviewed. And should we find that there are areas where there are levels higher than we would otherwise want there to be, we certainly would want to go back and address those. But in a perfect world, we're going to use our field assessment tools and our expertise to get the right answer the first time. We're going to submit those samples to the lab for constituents of concern. We're going to evaluate those samples under both a method 1 is appropriate and stage 1 ecological screening.
Okay. You had you're looking for a PSS, permanent solution statement.
Yeah.
With no conditions. You say that throughout. That
Sure.
seemed to be a big emphasis. Can you explain what you mean by that?
Yeah, what I mean by that is that the people who own the properties didn't cause or contribute to the release, and I would not suspect that any of those people would want to accept a land use restriction to achieve a permanent solution. While we would also look to establish local background conditions to determine no significant risk versus local background under WPA and MCP, I'm not here to suggest that we're going to monitor a natural attenuation to people's properties that have been impacted by oil, because I quite frankly don't think that they would accept that.
Okay. Next little sentence. NOI talks about use of the Pooh stream crossing is anticipated.
Yeah.
Is there an alternative that's
Negative.
consideration?
That's semantics, and I apologize for that.
Okay.
We just were not sure whether Seal Harbor was going to say, go ahead and cross our approved wetlands crossing. They have since told us that they're going to. We met with DEP on site and discussed the installation of the cul-de-sac, and DEP has thought that it was just fine to move forward with that, provided that we're there to segregate any impacted materials versus clean materials during that installation.
Okay. I mean, I looked at it, I thought it made good sense.
Yeah, no, I mean, hey, we don't want to have to cross in any other location.
Right.
We look at that as a blessing.
Okay. Yeah.
So is the plan still to do the temporary crossing?
I think that that's what Seal Harbor wants to do, but we're leaving it completely up to them.
Okay,
Yeah, that's at their discretion.
all right.
So, yeah, right. So the temporary permit would be in the same footprint.
Yes, sir.
The last paragraph on my first page. I would, with respect to existing conditions, I'm here, BBW soils.
Yep.
I would suggest again, at this point, perhaps as a condition, if the commission were willing to do that, that there be a good characterization of what you have for soils and vegetation throughout here.
Yep.
And when I talk about characterization, I'm mainly concerned with topsoil, how much organic content, the depth, the texture of that material, all those physical characteristics.
Yeah, lithology really.
Yeah, and that there be, a fairly, you know, and this can all be, in my view, appropriately done with field characterization by someone that's got some soil science
Yep.
knowledge.
Yep.
But that there be a number of points throughout the wetland where that gets done and documented, so that when you talk about restoring to existing conditions,
Right.
we really know what those existing conditions are.
Yeah, that's a great point, and the applicant is fully committed. We have already put our local wetland scientist who helped us flag this property for the NOI on call, and pending access agreements, we're ready to get in there and put together both a soil and sediment amendment as well as a plant native wetland species schedule for review.
Who's that? Who did the work?
Ducharme and Dillis.
Okay.
Yep. So that is pending, I just have to have had them on standby because we can't get in.
Okay.
Yeah, but we would also think that that would be something that we could do concurrent with response actions, have that be an interim deadline, but there's no reason why people are putting up, erosion and sedimentation controls that we can't have Ducharme and Dillis in there, identifying the lithology of soil and sediment and the native plant species and providing an interim deadline submittal to the commission and to Paul for, and whoever else for,
Right, obviously just before it gets beat up.
yeah, right, right.
You had a sentence in there, if as appropriate, select portions of the property may be allowed to naturally restore.
I think, specifically I'm thinking of the locations of the high-density mats. We've had some projects in the past where we've had the mats down for the better part of 2 months and stuff has come back well after the mats have been removed. So, we put that in there really because if there are areas that are better served by coming back naturally, then we'd like to allow for that. We understand that there probably has to be some standard by which the commission feels comfortable in assessing that. But, we're not suggesting that we're going to strip a 50,000 square foot area and say that'll come back on its own. We understand that.
All right. So is it safe to say that that you really only, you didn't specify that, so is it safe to say that would only be applied, proposed in the mat areas?
Yeah, or if there were any other areas following remediation that everybody could agree should come back on their own. We're not trying to suggest that we're the ones that are going to make that call. We're just suggesting that if there are areas that are beneficially allowed to come back on their own, that we would look to let that happen. But we're not suggesting that we're the ones that are going to identify those and make that call.
So again, so that would be,
Is that a site walk, parcel by parcel? I don't know.
well, I guess again, to my earlier point, that it seems that you're, in the interest of moving forward, you're handing to the commission the authority to really tell you exactly what to do in each location.
Well, what I guess to clarify, what we hope that we're going to do is bring in our wetland scientists to assist us in a replication plan for the areas that we know we are going to disturb through remediation. We certainly expect that any area that we put down the mats is going to allow to be naturally restored. But should there be an area in the area of remediation with which we can all agree that could be naturally restored, we would welcome that opportunity. That's what we're saying. And be sure that me as LSP, I don't necessarily have authority to speak for Houston Direct.
No, I understand, but again, I think in the absence of a specific plan that says this area is going to be treated by method A and this area is going to be treated by method B, in the absence of that.
Yeah. In the absence of access agreement, we can't get you that, but I understand
No, I
exactly where
understand,
you're
but
going.
let me finish. In the absence of that, the commission to ensure itself that things will be adequately restored, if the commission is to condition that, as you suggest, then I'm going to suggest to them that they condition it such that such that you have to accept a condition, excuse me, that says, we, the commission, get to decide what's adequate and what's not. End of story.
Yeah, and I won't be the one to determine that, but I appreciate your point.
Because otherwise, if my advice to the commission is that if you're going to have an open-ended options, you have to give yourself the ability to make that decision.
Well,
that's my advice to my client.
Sure, and then while that's your advice, I guess our retort would be, with us not being able to be in there right now, how could you possibly expect us to provide that type of information?
I'm not necessarily stating that you should have that information tonight, but I'm asking you to acknowledge the fact that by virtue of the schedule, your request puts the commission in a difficult spot.
I hear what you're saying.
And therefore, your obligation as the LSP is to clean up the site so that it's protective under MCP standards. Their obligation is to protect the wetland and get it restored in this circumstance where everyone acknowledges that it's going to get beat up. So given that, their obligation, in the absence of all the details, which you cannot provide at this point, they're going to need to go and give themselves the ability to have a heavy hand. I'm just being frank about that, but that is my advice. Now, I think, frankly, this is a reasonable group of people.
Sure.
And I don't think, and I think you're a reasonable person, as far as I can tell. But parties change, people change. You may get to a situation where your client says fires you and comes out and says, no, we have an order of conditions that says we have the option to let this revegetate it naturally. And that's what we're going to do, and we're not planting a stick. That's what I'm trying to avoid, because someone could read your language, an unreasonable person could read your language and take that position. And what I'm telling the commission is that I think for the commission to protect itself, they have to give themselves the ability to deal with that potentially ornery situation.
So I agree with you, and I would have said that Greg wins the lottery and leaves as opposed to he gets fired.
Well, I know that LSPs get fired through no fault of their own because their clients are unhappy. That happens.
But we're in a good position because as we move forward, we do have the ability, as more information comes up, to amend as we've gone on. So the commission is, what I was trying to get at before is that we're not holding anything up. We're actually holding extra meetings that we don't have to hold so that this could move forward. Right now, there are areas that can't be accessed, can't be reviewed, haven't been walked. So therefore, the smartest thing to do is to move forward with an order of conditions that speaks to the areas we do know, and then work to amend the order of conditions as we get into the areas that we don't know. That would be the safest thing to do. But I agree with your point that I don't know that there's any way that the commission would be willing to take a note that says portions of the property may be allowed to naturally restore following response action and stabilization efforts. It would be under the commission's directive. Areas could be. So it's not unreasonable. It's just that
I can
it
say
can't be.
that's just a standard sentence that I've had in all my NOIs. I've never had anybody, hang us for it. I appreciate why you guys have concern for it, but it wasn't like I specifically put that in there to see if I could trip somebody up here.
No, and as I said, it's not, if everyone is reasonable.
Yeah.
But I know in these situations, and money gets tight, and people push.
Yeah.
And all reasonable intent and expectation can get pushed aside.
That's right.
Well, and also
So-
the bigger element is that we walk sites all the time. We review sites, we walk flag boundaries, we walk flag wetlands, we walk all these areas. There are areas that we can't get access to at this point, and even if we could get access to them at this point, they're too thickly vegetated for us to see much anyway. So, unfortunately, there's going to have to be some agreement as to what to do and how to deal with the fact that when we get in there, we're going to find stuff.
Right. I would just, I'm not sure you meant the words literally, you talked about amending the order. I guess I would suggest that rather than a formal amendment, that there be, specific details and procedures subject to the commission's approval.
No, absolutely.
Under the order.
I guess what I'd love to say is that I think we can deal with things as field changes, but as soon as I say that, then later on someone says, well, I thought we could deal with this as a field change, and we say, yes, but we found a bigger area that's beyond a field change. So I'd rather say amend the order and then work backwards to field changes if that's possible. Yes, Brian?
Quick comment. So first of all, from my perspective and from my client's perspective, it's our intention to push this project forward as quickly as possible. We certainly won't want you to delay. I think that the commission and its consultant can find a way to condition the project to move forward in an expeditious manner. However, at the same time, I'd like to correct the record that access is not the sole problem why we're at this point today. This release happened in February. It's been a long time. Access agreements have sat on people's desks for a long time. And I would like to just correct that the sole reason why there are delays is not access related to our land property.
What is it?
What is it?
That's what I asked.
Okay, well, I'm not sure that's an appropriate conversation for right now, but.
Well, then why'd you make a statement?
Let's do this. We're doing everything we
Really?
We're doing everything we can to make this move forward. Literally, doing everything we can. So, Paul, you went on to stream bank impact and restoration.
Yeah, we actually, because we started talking about the downstream area, we
You feel you're covered?
kind of talked about that first.
Okay, so you've covered your questions there.
I think so, as much detail as really as.
I didn't hear the how will work proceed at plant roots. I heard about the head pressure of oil and that how it wouldn't get deep enough in for that to be as big of a problem on the sides of the channels and the base, which actually makes sense. But I wasn't sure. Are you satisfied with questions regarding work proceeding at plant roots?
That's a particular question that I think that really I think goes to the discussion that we had about what was suggested is kind of an after the fact assessment of how much was disturbed, and the commission having the discretion to say that, okay, you took out a fair amount over here, you want to put into the bank or whatever, and there's exposed roots, and this is a problem, and this needs some restoration. So I kind of view that as under that umbrella of leaving that as an after the fact assessment, and judgment call on the part of the commission as to what should be done in a given area.
So one of the things that so I've sat on both sides of the table, and it would make me equally uncomfortable as it makes me to say that that's left up to the judgment of the commission. It makes me uncomfortable on this side of the table, but it would make me just as uncomfortable to be the applicant hearing the commission will decide afterwards what happens. That's pretty wide open.
I agree.
One of the things that did strike me was after the access road is put in and access to the area is more plausible, it may make sense to go through and just take video of those areas.
Yeah.
So that a comparison can be made before and after.
Yep.
It would be pretty simple. I mean, this is a large area, but the reality is the stream channel's not all that big.
Yep.
And so it may make sense to do that in some of the more areas of greater concern.
Yeah. Yep.
So that there is a comfort level of a before and after for both parties.
I think that's a great idea.
Only because, again, we have no intention of hanging anybody out to dry. Our only problem with this is that we don't know what we don't know. And so going through this, I appreciate Greg's attention to detail, especially with regard to the oil and how far it's going to get down, and that makes great sense. I also appreciate that the stream washes down and that it moves very quickly, and that therefore there are areas that we need to revisit to take a look at because there could be material down there. as Brian noted, down by the power lines. So those are areas that aren't captured necessarily in that NOI. So it makes sense to come up with a method to deal with what is the overall plan of how to deal with the removal of the material and the replacement of vegetation. And the discussion was that Ducharme and Dillis would create a soil amendment, or they would come up with a plan for what the soil was, and they would talk about what the native plant species were in those areas. Quite frankly, from that standpoint, since it is important, obviously, to clean the oil up, once we know then just where those areas are, it's really just a case of how much soil is being replaced, what kind of soils, and how much native plant material needs to go back in. Is that too simplistic?
No, I think, you know, that really boils it down. I mean, that's really the issue, but it's understanding the existing, you know, really understanding the existing condition from a wetlands perspective.
Right. So basically what we're saying is that we're on the right trail with the pieces that we've talked about here. Brian, Greg, I did not read the final amendment thoroughly enough to tell you that I remember. Did you mention that your wetland scientist would create a soil profile and a native plant species list?
Yes, we did.
Okay.
Yep. And we also advised that the turtle protection plan would be developed. We just can't get the biologist on site right now.
Okay. Okay. And I guess one of the benefits, the restoration measures, one of the benefits would be that the path will be there for access to do the restoration prior to the removal of the matting. So there's another benefit, because I noticed you had on here a detailed understanding of proposed restoration measures. So to that point, from a methodology standpoint, that would be a great way to take care of it on the way out.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Just back right out.
Right.
Sweeping it behind you.
Yeah, that was my assumption. I think that has to be the case.
Okay. We started into your additional questions without you. Why don't you go ahead?
No, that's fine. Simple question: what if, you know, we get, you know, a hurricane and bypass pumps, or, you know, there is a circumstance when
Yep.
you're going to run out of pump?
I suppose I can't envision what's going to happen beyond the third tertiary pump versus our on-call abilities to come out with additional equipment, but, you know, should we actually be looking at an issue that we could not otherwise take care of, there's a couple of options. One is we're going to look to the DPW to assist us with otherwise conveying some of that water down Washington Street in a way that can be collected by other catch basins, and or we're going to have to create secondary or tertiary diversion locations beyond our outfall. You know, at the end of the day, the last thing we want to do is push a whole bunch of water down through something that we've cleaned into something that we haven't, to make things worse. So, you know, there's going to have to be enough materials on site and enough manpower and equipment and commitment that we can address those. But, you know, at the end of the day, I guess a worst case major hurricane condition, we're probably going to batten everything up, use the pumps to the degree we can, and make sure that oil water separators and overflow systems are going to mitigate whatever flow we get through downgrading extents.
You answered part of this question earlier when you talked about, I believe you said that if your primary pump's a 3-inch pump, correct?
Yeah.
And if you had to go beyond that,
Yep.
the additional pump would then be manned 24/7,
That's right.
but not the 3-inch pump. Is that
No. Yeah, we feel like we ought to be able to set that up in a way that's going to be able to deal with normal flow coming out of that system, and we're going to be there every day. So,
And is that what kind of pump is it? Are you talking electric pump?
I have to talk to the contractor. They've been going back and forth on whether they would be able to use an electric pump as the initial 3 with diesel generator backup on the 6 and auxiliary 3, or whether they would put everything on whisper quiet.
They were concerned about not disturbing 112 Washington, but I think, in my opinion, they can find a good diesel generator that'll run whisper quiet and give them, 72 hours of operation before they're filling it again.
So those trash pumps?
Yeah.
What's the flow rate on a trash pump?
Again, they all go by spec, so we're going to use a performance curve to make sure that we're going to meet the specs that the DPW has given us. We don't have any trash pump spec in there, Joanne.
Oh, rats.
I know. Yeah, not yet. We didn't have
Okay.
the DPW's information
All right.
before.
All right, but you're talking about diesel generators, so the electric pump.
Oh, yeah, right. Runoff of generators. Yeah, we're not going to put a Home Depot sump pump or something.
Well, no, but I mean, there
Yeah.
are gas-powered 3-inch trash pumps that
Sure.
are used all the time.
Yep.
But
Aware of that.
they require a lot of refueling and case and
Aware of that.
yeah, okay, so that's, all right, so that, I guess I just said a comment for the commission. There was a statement about, the temporary matting will traverse around large trees, shrubs, and other vegetation. I mean, I think really to make this stuff work, it has to go in a relatively, it has to be continuous, and I think your ability to save the vegetation is really pretty limited. I mean, there's a path that you need to take to get from point A to point B, and I mean, this is really
Yeah.
just for the commission's understanding that you'll cut the vegetation at ground level, lay these things on, which would then facilitate revegetation, you hope, when you pull it out. And I think that's a reasonable expectation to a certain degree. But that these can't be a really circuitous route, to get around all the interesting vegetation. I mean, there will be, when these things come up, there will be a swath cleared through the woods.
Oh, of course. So
Yeah.
how treed is this area? I mean, a lot of wetland areas,
Couple
they
of questions coming at me here.
go to Paul.
Which one would you like me to?
Go to Paul.
Okay. I spoke with the contractor today. I've seen them work around trees before. I've seen them bring the mats around trees. I grew up on a farm where we had to make things happen, even if people didn't think that they necessarily could happen or that they were easy. And so it's as simple as stacking mats in a manner that allows the machinery to get around that tree. And again, we're not looking to save something that's the diameter of this piece of paper, but substantial trees and vegetation we feel pretty confident we can work around. And we would look to show Paul or anybody else when we get on site with the mats just how we can move those around.
Oh, I understand you'll do what you can, but
Again,
for
we're
a
not-
commission that's not experienced with this, I just want them to understand that these mats they're very substantial. They're there to allow equipment in and out.
Oh yeah,
and they'll
something in the footprint of that mat is gone.
Right.
But if there's a 24-inch diameter maple that we can move around, well, we're going to move the mats around that.
Right, I understand, and that's great. But next to that maple, there will still be the width of the mat
Sure.
that will get cut to the ground, and I just really, for the commission, in case people are not familiar with what this might look like, that comment is really more for the commission than for you.
Well, my recollection of the most recent experience we had with this was when National Grid came in and they laid down. They were about 30 feet wide. And remember they did the logs, bolted logs, and rubber mats that they used to get through the wetland to work on their poles. They not only didn't call or come in, but they also put everything down. And then when they were done, it looked like a war zone right through where they had worked, because of course it did. So that's our expectation here as well.
Okay. Well,
Which is because there's no choice.
right.
So
No,
we're
I understand.
very
I'm not-
pragmatic. Our biggest problems are relating to all the items we've already talked about. If we can come up with a way to deal with let's go on, get started, and as the agreements become available, and we can get into these areas, and we can make decisions, then they're easy. We just have to discuss the parameters of the decisions. Simple,
Right.
in my mind. I'm not expecting it to look pretty when it's done. I'm expecting it to look pretty when they're done being done.
Good. That's really the point that I wanted to make sure that the folks at this table understood. So,
Yeah, I don't, if you can't get in there to do the work, then, all this is for nothing. So
that's right. Oh no, and again, I'm not suggesting that there's a better way. I'm not suggesting that it's not necessary, but I'm indicating what you just described, Mr. Chairman, in that, when they come out, it will, you'll know that they were there.
Right.
And hopefully they'll be able to do it in a way that as the years go by, it will become more and more difficult to know that they were there. I mean, that's really the goal.
Good. Yeah, that's the ideal.
That's what we're shooting for. Okay. Paul, you also attached information regarding groundwater level, which is great. August and September. It looks like September's the lowest.
Right.
And then you did attach the limited project for an MCP cleanup.
Right, because for the commission to approve this project, you have to be operating under that limited project. That's your only ability to do this.
So the highlighted sections, no such measure may be permitted which is designed in accordance with the provisions of 310 CMR 40.1020 background levels of oil and hazardous material solely to reduce contamination to a level lower than that which is needed to achieve no significant risk. So what specifically does that mean?
What that means is that the MCP has a requirement that every release be cleaned up so that there's no significant risk to health, safety, and welfare in the environment.
Makes sense?
That's the bare minimum standard. But it also says that the cleanup should continue to reach background conditions where feasible. And there's a lot of components to what's feasible. And financial is one of them, and logistics and all sorts of things. What this is saying is that when you're doing cleanup that involves work in a wetland, that once you reach that minimum standard of no significant risk, you're done.
You're done.
And you don't. They're kind of defining what feasible means here, because the general definition of feasible includes general language about other environmental impacts and that sort of thing. Should be considered in your feasibility assessment. What this is saying is that, kind of by statute, by regulation rather, the wetland regulations are saying that the collateral damage to the wetland is not justified to go from no significant risk to background. That makes sense?
It does. It does. It's basically, rather than just remove everything in this area for 2 feet down, which would bring it back to background, right? We removed any chance. Instead, we're going to work around, we're going to take out what needs to be taken out, following the guidelines until there's no significant risk, and then we're going to stop.
Right. That's
Okay.
what this says.
Yep. Well, that's interesting that they would be so intelligent to write such a regulation.
It's actually a fairly well-written piece, I think.
Makes you wonder who did it.
I don't know, and there's also, there's also language down in F, towards the bottom of the page, that talks about, 75% reestablishment with indigenous wetland plant species, which is language that you're used to seeing under the BVW replication standard.
Right.
But that's a bit of a yardstick for the applicant that you're given and they're given. So it's nice in that regard.
So the only tricky part we're going to have is down at G. Work in the resource area shall occur only when the ground is sufficiently frozen, dry, or otherwise stable.
Which is really goes back to my little figure on the page before, about groundwater and the timing. Clearly we don't want to be doing this in the middle of the winter. And the, you know, one sees that language about the wetland being sufficiently frozen. Wetlands around here almost never get really frozen, as you probably know. I don't know who started writing that. It keeps getting repeated in various places in various regulations, but it's unless we get a really, really hard, long frost around here, you can put an auger in the ground in the wetlands 12 months a year without any trouble. It's actually interesting doing wetland delineation in the winter. You can in the deep winter, when we're not in one of those super frozen periods, you can find the wetland boundary by coming up at the point when your auger hits hard ground.
Sure.
And you have to poke through.
Wow.
That's try it. That's
Okay, that's the delineation.
that's when you find not out in the open in a lawn area,
Yeah,
but in
yeah.
the woods.
Yeah.
In the woods. When you if you find frozen ground, I will almost guarantee that you will not find hydric soils.
Interesting. Okay.
Well, hopefully we won't find that out with this project.
No, we want to be long in and out by then.
Okay. So at this point, the purpose of the meeting was to review the notes from Ecotech. Thank you, Mr. McManus. To review the notes, go through and see how those affected the application, were there changes or needs. Obviously, we discussed a number of important parts. Number one, probably the most important one, is how to deal with the areas that are that need to be re-reviewed. And it does seem, if the applicant agrees, it does make sense to work together after the path is created and then go in and just reassess. It seems like it works for everyone. Because especially at that time, if Ducharme and Dillis is in, who was the scientist at Ducharme and Dillis?
There's a couple of guys. I'm working with Brendan Ducharme and Seth. I can't think of his name right now. Seth Donahue.
I don't think we've ever seen any of them in here, but good to meet them.
Yeah, Brendan owns the company, so he's a good guy.
So the primary concerns were the excavation and how to deal with remediation goals, vegetation to be spared, etc. So we covered all those. Using the approved stream crossing, that's the expected area. Changing the language, if appropriate, select portions of the property may be allowed to naturally restore surrounding vegetation. And that would again be based upon the Conservation Commission review, or with Conservation Commission review and approval. And then restoration plan. So we didn't talk quite so much about that, other than the fact that folks will go in and do that work. Is it plausible to create a restoration plan when part of the work involves removing material and then determining if you have to continue to remove material? It feels iterative.
I mean, I think to the extent that we anticipate what removal will be, it should be, but could there possibly be some area that has to, require somebody to come back and take a harder look at something? I suppose it could be.
Well, what would be the, you're going to go in, you're going to make your field call as to, okay, I think we've got enough in this area, we're going to move on. You got an area that's stripped or to the extent that it needs to be based upon your field judgment. You're going to do your confirmatories. What's the lag time? What's the lag time from last bucket out to knowing we're done in this area?
Typically, turnaround times is about 7 days on lab data. And if the applicant wants to pay for expedited turn, we probably could get to 72. But I would say it's probably about 7 days, 5 to 7 days under a normal turn.
Okay, so they go in, they remove material, you turn in your lab samples, you have a 7-day turnaround on your lab samples. So the next question would be, probably the more important one actually, is the crew going to restore the area behind them, or is the crew going to move on and continue to remove and handle remediation?
Yeah, I would think we would try to progress in a way that allowed us to know for certain that the area we're going to restore has been adequately remediated. And, you know, with this being a dynamic environment, could there be some locations where expedited turnaround is required to make an informed decision at a timely manner? Could be.
How long,
Well, hold on, I'm sorry.
oh, sorry,
No, so just using these two circles, let's say that this area here was cleared and you were satisfied that it was remediated, and then you moved on to this area. What's the time frame to having this area remediated from our standard as far as soils and vegetation being replaced?
Not sure I quite understand, but I would, so if we had satisfactory completion of those two northern drainage channels, southern drainage channels, I would expect, I'd have to really ask Trident, but ideally, we would have the information already in hand as to what the lithologies of the material needed to be replaced would be, as well as the plant species, and that we would have a crew working in there, probably subsequent to us completing that area and working into the wetlands. But again, I'd have to ask Trident. I mean, they may be thinking that they want to restore everything at the end, and I just can't speak to that fully.
Well, and that's why it would be good to put that to a time frame. Only because we certainly wouldn't want to leave those areas for long periods of time.
Yeah,
Let's think about, I'm sorry to interrupt this.
Sure.
Let's think about planting. Do we want to plant? We don't want to plant in September.
Yeah, I think you have to sort of, the timing has to be a question as well. Right?
Oh, yeah, right.
And then,
It may be better to be an October, November thing for the planting, just based on where we are in the year. Let's say you started tomorrow. If you started tomorrow, August would not be the time to plant shrubs down in there.
right.
They wouldn't have the best chance of survival anyway.
But I would think, you know, once we hit mid-September, I think really mid-September would be a good time to plant. Because we still have, you know, we're not in the real heat of the summer,
Right.
stressful period, but we still have some growing season left for things to hopefully get a little acclimated and put out some root hairs into the soil prior to winter. So, and then obviously everything's in place, and that's going to help, you know, especially if we get some herbaceous cover in there, help hold things in place when it gets real wet in the winter and spring.
Right. Yeah. Brian, you had a question? Oh, I saw somebody's hand move. Sorry. Was that you?
no.
No, I was out of the corner of my eye with my pencil. Okay. That sounds like something to revisit as far as the growing season, but you're probably right, middle of September. I'm more of an end of September, beginning of October person, but just like don't plant your garden until Memorial Day. There's always a surprise.
Do you have a sense, Greg, of from start to finish, just order of magnitude, start to finish, how long the excavation crew would be out there?
Yeah, I mean, at best guess right now it's 6 weeks. You know, I mean, if it's, could be 4.
Okay. But
Yeah.
that's, or order of magnitude is all I was looking for.
All right. Does anybody have any qualms? And Greg, as the person on the project, do you have any qualms with us saying that planting will start at the end of September?
Not at all.
Anyone have an issue with that? Okay. I'd just rather establish a baseline for it now.
Do you want to put an end date on it between, you know, end of September and some end date?
Well,
Or
I could tell you that for me it would be probably, you know, the middle of November. I don't have any problem with putting plants in all the way through the hibernation period till the ground gets too cold to dig. Just personally, it works the best.
Yeah.
You get the
Yeah, you put a dormant plant in, and
Right.
then it's just ready to go in the spring.
Okay.
I agree with you, they don't have a chance to grow in, but they also have a much better chance of surviving in the spring.
Right, no, I don't have an issue with that, but there are different, people have different opinions on that one.
Well, I guess my feeling would be if this was on the side of a hill, on the west side or the north side of a hill, and we were going to be doing these plantings, I'd be a lot more concerned than putting plantings into this area where they're going to almost immediately be shaded in the spring and get wet. So,
True.
I mean, otherwise we wouldn't be having this discussion.
Good point.
So, okay. So I think we covered the crucial things. Joanne, did you have any other comments?
I'm just wondering how we're gonna craft these orders. That's,
Well,
A lot of site-specific conditions.
lots of site-specific conditions, I guess, and.
I guess it would be good to start early.
I think tomorrow, maybe. Good day to start.
I think really the way to think about it, because I have considered this question,
Mm-hmm.
and I think really the way to think about it and walk through it is to say, okay, what's if you were to say go, and Greg would have his crew, their engines revved out there
Yep.
to start, to think about, okay, what's going to happen, and then what are the decision points that are ahead of us, things that have not already been decided, and we talked about a whole bunch of those tonight, and I guess I would say, to make a list of those, and I mean you have your kind of your standard things,
Yep.
that you do on every order, and those
Yep.
are easy. But then on this one, the decision points, the channel downstream of the culvert crossing is really a separate area from this. So there's that channel,
Yep.
then there's the question about, what's downstream of the power lines.
Yep.
And those I think, for example, the downstream of the power lines, the condition that says the applicant shall submit, do an evaluation and submit the results of that evaluation, and a determination as to what, if anything, needs to be done, subject to the commission's approval.
Well, I think there's also, there's another real positive part to that. When we work with a developer and we're looking at a piece of property, and we go through and we can identify everything in advance, right? From that point on, the developer has a set of goals to move forward on, which are to build the house as quickly and as inexpensively as possible to make the maximum profit, while at the same time adhering to the permits that he has pulled. In this particular case, Greg's job and the job of the applicant is to clean up the oil spill. So our orders have to be crafted around the idea that as the applicant enters into new areas, those areas have to be evaluated for the impact on the wetland. And if there's an extreme impact on the wetland to the point of vegetation and soil removal, then the soil and vegetation of that area need to be surveyed to the point where it can be replicated. It actually, in my mind, it actually ends up even simpler, because we have a dedicated goal here to remove the oil and the organic material that's gotten into these spaces, as opposed to just go as quickly and inexpensively as possible. So, if an area is disturbed and it's documented as disturbed, that's easy. It just needs to be documented for what the soils and the vegetation are in those areas, and then we can effectively decide, what the replication will be. And we can even get to the point where we say if an area is disturbed beyond X number of square feet, that a replication plan is to be submitted. We can do something as simple as that, and then work from there.
And I'm also trying to envision keeping track of everything that's going on out in those woods. And I suppose following the gradient from will help organize that work somewhat.
Not sure what you mean when you say keeping track of.
Well, as the agent, you know, just, I will be out there a lot, I would imagine, and,
Can I add something?
Please.
So I think the work is sequential from,
right, that's what I mean by
Right.
following the gradient.
I mean, if it's mismatched, and that's gonna be harder.
Right.
But if it's sequential from one area to the next and then following to the next, that'll
Right.
be easy to follow.
Right,
And you're
I
basically
would
going
assume-
from
I would
upstream to down,
assume.
right?
Yeah,
I would
and
assume.
due to the severity of the access agreements, we plan to have a daily log sheet that will be filled out by our technicians that will identify personnel, equipment on site, tasks completed, and how the site is viewed in the morning and how it is left at the end of the day, just so that we all have a moment in time in case anybody wants to come back and, ask questions about what might have happened.
Is that going to be an email record or a book?
Those will be a PDF log file available to anybody who might need them.
That'd be great. Probably one of the conditions. So we already have a condition that people provide us with their with their weekly reports. If you guys are doing a daily report and we were copied on it, it would make life very easy.
yep.
Ostensibly, they would include Agent Christoph's visits. So,
How often would you want to be copied on that?
well, it would just be
Daily
the kind of
basis?
thing. It'd be. It could be daily if it was coming out daily. It could be weekly if it was all 7.
But we don't
Speaking
want
of which,
to-
is this a 7-day project? 7-day a week?
No, this would anticipate it to be 5 days a week. I mean, if something came up that we had to be out there on the weekend, I don't think anybody would say no, but we're anticipating it's 5 days a week.
If you have heavy rain, does that change the work
Yeah.
that you're doing?
Yeah, it absolutely does. We're going to have flexibility with regard to what's coming in. It's not unreasonable to think that if we had a couple of wet days during the week that we stand people down and we're hitting it on a Saturday and a Sunday. If
No,
it's-
that's why I was asking, in case someone comes to us later and says, I can't believe they're working on Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah.
If your work is weather dependent, then we need to let people know that.
Sure.
So that in case Joanne gets questions. Do we know the disposition of the sale of the houses like the one we saw the other day? When we were in the neighborhood, Nashua Street Extension, there were a couple houses. There was a foundation that had just been stripped.
Mm-hmm,
There was the house that the family came into while you and I were still talking.
mm-hmm.
And then there was the house that they were framing, and then there was nothing going on with the final house at the end. They hadn't made their crossing yet.
Right, there's that one, and then Calvin's, the lot that he retained, lot number 8.
I think it's this little one. Is it this one or this one? One of those two.
It's the bigger one.
Okay.
Yeah. He's in the process, Calvin's in the process of getting a building permit for that lot.
Okay.
And the other ones all have buyers. I think they're all custom.
Okay. Has Seal Harbor made those people aware of the project?
I don't know.
Okay. It's outside of our purview, but
Yep.
potential for holdup, and we need to make sure everybody's aware of it so that
Yep.
there are
Yep.
no
that's-
complaints or
Yeah, that's a good idea.
police showing up.
I think the intention of moving the mobilization area to the next cul-de-sac was directly proportional to those houses. So I think that Greg's plan is to work around the back side of that last one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. Okay. So I feel it's safe to say that we've come up with a solid understanding of what the project will be. I appreciate Paul's comments with regard to the banks and the flow ideas, things that, again, we don't have a lot of exposure to. I'm also happy that we're at the same point where we are, I think, are able to acknowledge there are areas that are undetermined at this time. However, as long as we have a plan to determine the areas and pre and post excavation, we can assess.
Mm-hmm.
I like the idea of video
Mm-hmm.
through the area,
Yep.
which I think will help everybody in case there's any question later.
Right.
And I see it all wrapped up for the fall. Okay, so I started with Joanne. George, did you have any questions? Jess?
No, Joanne, did you have any questions about our commission being informed of things as they happen? Or? Are you comfortable with the level?
I like the idea of a daily log of work that's happening. That would make me feel very comfortable. I plan to be out there a lot.
Yes, I just want us to avoid, I mean, with Pingree Hill, we've had some issues with backlog of not getting their reports, so that's a big concern.
Yeah, so if you could just make
Well, I
sure
think
that-
I think that comes back unfortunately to my other discourse on, I pulled my permits, now I need to get my job done, versus we need to get this job done and we need to pull permits. And I think we're in the latter here.
Yeah. Yep, and I feel like if I have any questions, I just pick up the phone and call Greg or Brian or Paul, or I think we have some backup here. But I really do like being in the loop. Yeah, because we should be first on the list, really.
Bonnie, any questions?
Nope, I'm all set.
Okay. So it sounds like our next step is to craft a series of orders that meet the requirements of what we discussed tonight, pass those to the applicant, and potentially, unless anybody has any reason to not do so, issue an order of conditions at our next meeting. Does that make sense to everyone?
When is that?
August...
Ninth.
2
Wait,
short weeks.
August 9th.
2 very short 5-day weeks.
Okay. Any further questions from you, sir? Greg, did you have anything to add, or did we cover it all?
I think you covered it.
Okay.
Yeah, and just logistically, I know you don't speak for Diesel Direct, but we are anticipating some additional cost, like Paul's presence at this meeting and just some assurance that Diesel Direct will step up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if that can be provided in a written correspondence, I can, well, I'm sure you can also get it to Adam, but I'll be sure that
Yeah.
that gets direct to council too. So
Yeah,
they
I
know
think the
about
way
that.
the contracts have been crafted between the town and Paul and the letter from Diesel Direct's attorney, there is the ability to bill for Paul's additional services.
Yeah, okay.
And with the expectation of being paid.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right,
But I can certainly write a note about that.
okay.
Okay. If we don't have anything else, Paul, did you have anything to add last and final?
No, I think this is good. I think there's a reasonable path that lets him do his job and lets you do your job.
Sounds great. I would accept a motion to continue this public hearing until August 9th.
Oh. Do we make a motion to begin drafting an order of conditions first?
I thought we did. Well,
We didn't. No, we
stated it.
didn't. We said we were about to do that, but we haven't actually moved it.
Would you like to work on that?
Motion to draft an order of conditions and circulate to the applicant for approval and consideration at our next meeting.
Second.
Can I add George's friendly amendment to continue to the August 9th meeting?
We usually do that as a separate thing. I don't know.
Moved and seconded, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Would you like to, now you had a motion on the table to continue to the 9th. Would someone like to second that?
I will second that.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. We'll see you on the 9th. Okay. Paul, thank you very much for your help reading through everything.
I hope that was helpful.
Very
It
good.
was.
Very
Very
helpful.
So Joanne, I'll expect to communicate with you about some of the order language. and-
Oh, yes, please.
Okay.
Yeah, if that's all right, I'll
I'll get a copy of that too.
oh, yep,
At least I know what's going on when I get around.
absolutely.
Okay.
So yeah, we'll be in touch.
Yes, yeah, I really can't imagine getting this to work, but I know it's possible.
I'm sure.
Good.
I'm sure it is.
All right,
I think it's going to work.
Yep.
well,
And I
we'll
didn't
go with
before.
that.
And I didn't before.
Okay, well, that's big.
That's a success.
It is. Very good.
All right, to go
All right.
on to that next problem, let us know how the
Oh,
white
I-
mess
yeah.
works out. If I think of anything, I'll let you know.
Oh, please do.
It's an odd one.
It is a very odd one.
Good night.
You folks have a nice
Bye.
night. Okay. Let's move on, let's move on to our Conservation Commission Fund.
Wait,
Now I've got
no,
two here.
No.
Oh, sorry,
we're
the
doing-
emergency cert that I don't like. So,
I
to be
think,
clear, we're making a bad situation worse. Defend?
we're going to get the DPW to do this the right way, which is not the way they're planning on doing it. Dan's on vacation this whole week, so I haven't been able to talk to him about this, and Mark only knows about it peripherally. So when they are both in the same place with me, early next week, they're cutting down the trees tomorrow. We will have a conversation, and I don't want to make things worse. They don't want to make things worse. But they need to replace that pipe.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure, that's a starting point.
Yeah.
Except that the finish point isn't on this piece of paper.
Right.
Can you explain where, so starting where to
The
where?
catch basin.
Were you on the walk then?
No,
that
I
night?
missed,
Oh, that's
I'm
fine.
sorry, I missed the walk.
So if you were standing with your back to the school,
Yeah,
okay?
Yep.
And you were facing, and there's a white house, the first house, so there's the apartments, and there's a white house, and then a little brown house, 112 is brown?
I know where the brown house is.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you were facing the 112 Washington, the
Yep.
brown house,
Yep.
okay? Right in front of them is a catch basin.
Yes.
That pipe from there goes right down and shoots directly into the wetland.
Their side yard, so it's through their
Through
side.
beside their house, the very skinny side of the
Side
yard,
yard.
beside their house.
The pipe going into the catch basin is 15 inches. The pipe coming out of it into the yard is 10 inches.
So what's happening
I think
is,
it changes somewhere.
Yeah.
oh, and there's
Side.
also pipes that come in from the other. So the one pipe comes from the school,
So, yeah, across the
There's this
street
problem.
into, yep,
but another pipe comes from down the hill.
down the hill.
From if you again back to the school, comes from your right from another catch basin up above.
Right.
So all this
Right,
water is coming
right.
to this one catch
It's a
basin.
low point, right,
At which point it shoots directly into the wetlands.
okay.
So the good news, it goes into that 800 square foot detention basin.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't. There's no detention basin. There's no structure at the top.
I know.
There's no preparation for a structure,
Okay,
and there's no consideration of a structure.
so what does this do?
This makes the pipe that shoots all the water straight into the wetland bigger.
Well, I think, isn't it in some of the heavy storm events, when you've got that much water coming in through the 15-inch pipe,
Yeah.
it overflows the catch basin?
Right, their catch
and
basin
then-
is
So it's
flooding
just-
their,
it's
they're flooding their front
getting
yard.
It's like
down
a
there
manhole
anyway.
that where, all the water comes up and out and phew.
Yeah, and then in
Yeah.
the process, when it overflows above ground, it's also destroying that
So
yard.
this is 112.
So
This
That's
is
the catch basin.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah,
This is the many years of flooding that have happened apparently.
Conservation Commission's helicopter?
oh, wow.
Yes, with my best
Yeah,
friend
they
Google
said
Earth.
during one storm we had recently, the water coming down the stairs. to
Does
the
it get into their
Ready
basement?
house?
Yes,
Yeah.
it does.
It gets into the
Yeah.
basement?
So
and
these
you
are.
couldn't stand against the water coming down the stairs.
Yeah. This house has a walkout basement, so
Oh.
that's how slopey it is.
But also, just when we went and visited this the last time,
Yep.
it was washed out on the side. The
Right.
water puddled so greatly, pooled so much in the front that it actually ran, oh, did I do that?
You
It
did.
actually ran down the other side of the house too.
And part of that was caused by the absorbent socks
Yeah.
that had been stuffed in the catch basins during the oil
Mhm,
spill.
mhm.
And when they fired the first cleanup company, everybody kind of forgot those
Mhm.
absorbent socks were in there,
Mhm.
so the water wasn't able to actually get into
Get in
the
and go anywhere.
storm water system. And so it just,
So what is the emergency order, so what is,
it's to replace the pipe that goes
from
here,
there?
underground, and comes out
To there.
right here.
So one long pipe with a diameter of
It's going to be 15
15
inches
inches.
from the catch basin to the outfall.
Wasn't there a garage there?
No, On this house? Yeah, no, it's just the house. There's a little patio down here.
And then once that pipe goes in,
The water won't back up.
so at the end of the cleanup, like to Bill's point,
Sadly, this wasn't my point. This was my point. What now?
yeah. So, well, they got to divert the water while they're
While they're doing
remediating,
it,
right?
right.
So the water is diverted.
They're going to build a basin basically to catch it and pump it on their own.
Right.
Which
But-
is both positive and negative.
Right.
Because that basin isn't going to be large enough to settle out anything either. And they're going to pump it, as the blue line on your plan shows, through a hard plastic pipe all the way down and dump it in the stream farther down.
Mm-hmm.
So, by definition, this problem of what to do with the stormwater is not solved either by the installation of this larger pipe or by the stream relocation project that we're going to have here. None of that is solving the problem. The problem is, as soon as they pick up their tools and remove whatever they use to build their berm, and they take their liner out, we go back to having an 18-inch pipe that dumps water straight off the street into the BBW.
Right. But then my question is, why can't we do something post oil remediation?
So now we have two problems. Where is the water being dumped?
We build a catch
Onto
basin.
a private citizen's property.
Right.
So the only way to do that would be to, A, pay that private citizen to have access to that parcel and to do work on it, and B, to pay for the work. None of which would be part of this application. Would all come back to his BBW town.
Yeah.
So
town.
is it possible to replace this?
With a storm scepter.
Yeah. And that would help a lot.
Well, it would certainly do something. I can't speak to the flow rates that a storm scepter works under. So for instance, the only times that I've ever seen storm scepters are on parking lots
Right.
where the water lands in the parking lot. There's a natural low point where the storm scepter is. So basically, if the storm scepter wasn't working, it actually, builds a puddle around it, right? So that the water's contained there. In this case, if there's a flow rate difference on the storm scepter, they don't want the road to puddle.
I know.
So I just don't understand the operation of the storm scepter well enough to say, does the storm scepter work? The storm scepter undoubtedly works at a certain flow rate,
Yeah.
and beyond that flow rate starts septing,
Right.
right? Stops
So-
intercepting materials.
So the next catch basin is somewhere up in here,
Yeah, you might have to have multiple storm
Yeah.
scepters to
And-
control the material.
and then the next one might be all the way up in the park.
Are you saying that the water from way up there comes all the way down there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the real question is, when is the school going to fix their system?
Well, that is a good question.
Because if the school,
So there's got to be.
well, think of it this way, there's a spot there, but who can tell if that's it? So if the school had a detention basin to control the water that comes off of their property,
Yep.
then that would certainly take care of the majority of the water that was coming down, stormwater. And then all we'd have is that short section of street.
Mm-hmm.
So then you wouldn't have such a treatment issue.
Right.
And that's town
This is-
property.
This is the underground.
Owned by the town even.
I think so.
This is the underground storage tank. So the pipe that.
So we know the pipe is in that area.
Yeah, the pipe.
Now,
that-
is there a new pipe there now? Did they replace that pipe?
They did.
Okay. So maybe one of the things that we discuss with the town engineer is our concern isn't just the pipe. And I don't want anyone to come away from this thinking that I don't want to help the nice residents at 112 Washington.
And
Because I want
that's-
to help the residents at
And
112
so does the
Washington.
DPW.
Which is fantastic.
Right.
Right up until the part where
Right.
that's the worst thing we can do.
Yes. Right.
Right?
But it does seem like there's some upstream.
Gee, a house was built right, in a stream bed. That's what happened. They filled it in and.
That is actually what did happen.
They
because
filled
when
it
you
in.
stand there It's a low point of the road.
They filled it
Yeah.
in way back probably in the 50s, 40s, 50s.
Maybe even before that.
Maybe
So
before
the,
that.
so the problem is that where the house is located right now is where all the water used to go.
Yeah.
Okay, so if we work our way around that, there is a situation to control the water that goes past the house, increasing the size of the pipe. Fine. How do we control what goes into that pipe?
Right.
If we could better control what goes into that pipe, then what dumps into the wetland isn't such a big deal.
Right.
So if we could now just control the water that came off of the school, there's all that land in front for a pretty detention basin,
Mm-hmm.
and they are lovely this time of year. Maybe that's a solution. It's certainly something to discuss.
Yeah.
It may not be something anyone wants to discuss, but it is something to discuss. Because it does give us the opportunity to control that water.
Yeah.
Which is, by the way, coming off of parking lots.
Right.
Mhm.
Right.
Parking lots.
And rooftop.
Well, I don't know. It would be interesting to know, where does the rooftop water go?
All that flat roof up there.
Right, well, that's what I'm saying. Where,
Right.
where
Where
does
did
it
it
go?
go?
Yeah, I don't know. But
So we're
we could find out.
So we're back to that same old problem, which is, that's not how buildings were built back then,
Yeah.
right? What are you doing with all your roof water? Letting it fall on the ground, what are you, an idiot? So, you know,
Yeah.
obviously, we've got a lot of impervious surface that
This
needs
might
to be
be-
dealt with.
This might be a roof drain. There.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised if you go this way. I wouldn't be surprised, keep going a little bit more. It is, I'm sorry, here, can I move it?
Maybe.
No, I can't.
Well, here, you drive.
I was just gonna say, just that area up there. So, I don't like this mouse. Stop it. Okay, so the water tank is up here, right?
there.
Mhm.
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
this area down here is wet at times.
Okay.
So I wouldn't be surprised if some of our roof water and such end up down in that pocket.
Mhm.
I know it's wet there in the spring,
Okay.
so who knows? Maybe that's the drainage. Anyway, the long story short is, a lot of water is shooting through this pipe, and that water, unfortunately, is completely untreated,
Right.
running directly into the wetland.
Yep.
And we're signing off to make it worse. I'm just putting it in perspective.
Yeah.
However, we're signing off to make it worse, and it's the best thing for the residents at 112 Washington.
Yeah.
And it's probably a good thing for the town, because it stops flooding their house and causing trouble for them. Which, let's face it, it's water off of school property and water off the street. So I don't know where the liability lies there, but
Yep. Well, and it does seem as though there are points going upstream where we can collect and treat the water.
well, there are definitely points going upstream where we can tell people that they need to collect and treat the water, is maybe the way that I would phrase it, because I'm going to guarantee you that none of those people want any of that to happen. Because it's going to cost money, and they're going to have to dig it all up. And look how blown out we are. We're still not even, so here's Trevor,
Yeah.
there's the house.
Yeah.
This is the extent of work. Oh, actually, sorry. Is that? No, this is, wow, this is old.
It's Nash.
There's Nashua Street Extension. In here, that's where Calvin cut all the trees down without permission. So, we're going from all the way up here,
Yeah.
To the power
To
line.
the power lines.
through this area, down past Trevor Trail,
Yeah.
all the way to there.
And probably beyond.
That's extensive. And for those of us who have walked any of this area back there, that's all wet. That's all wet. Heck, I think we walked that once with Beck. Was that the ANRAD? I think that was the ANRAD, the first ANRAD that we did for that parcel. Seems like a very long time ago. So,
Well,
I would accept a motion to, thank you. I would accept a motion
Thank you.
to issue this emergency certification form to the town of Ayer to install, remove 5 trees and install 900 feet of, 900 feet?
I think there might be an extra zero there.
Yeah, that's more like 90.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Do.
Oh,
90 feet of 18-inch drain pipe and a riprap outfall at the edge of the wetlands to be started on July 27th and no later than August 24th.
Second.
I would like the record to show that the Conservation Commission is doing this with gritted teeth and actually, honestly, for those residents and no other reason.
Yes,
Because this is the wrong way to do this.
yes. And I will.
Anyone want to debate that or? However, it does lead to the next conversation, which is, what are you guys going to do about your water?
Yeah, yeah, and I will have that conversation with them.
Okay.
Yeah.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Yeah, I see your pen here.
Maybe we can get the school kids to dig up their schoolyard and create some rain gardens up there.
Well, couldn't we get some kindergartners? You see what those kids do.
They can dig. They like to dig in the
You
dirt.
do like,
Am I the only one, or is it all?
I think it's everybody.
There's more lines. I just saw that.
Yes.
There's a chairman line now. It says chairman.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the one I can't figure out how to actually get the names under the lines. But
You're forgiven.
thank you.
Okay.
Wasn't for lack
It is.
of trying.
It is 9:17
Ugh.
on an evening where I know at least some of us were exhausted. So, just chalk that up underappreciated for trying to help someone. Let's move on to Conservation Fund Policies and Procedures, Town Council edit. So I've got a draft and I've got what looks like a final. Where should I
Yes.
start?
I suggest that you turn both of them to page 3
Excellent.
and compare under review process for funding decisions.
Okay.
Item number 4.
So let's see. In the draft, the commission will review all requests for use of the fund to ensure the guidelines are met. Commission and CPC will negotiate a price for the property, and it appears that CPC has been struck
By the town council.
by town
Yes.
council, and now it is the commission will undertake a process for acquisition in accordance with the requirements of General Law, Chapter 30B, Section 16, which, George, if you'd please turn around, George has tattooed on his lower back. Do we know what that is?
No.
Okay. Do we want to do it up on the big screen, or you want me to do it on my phone, at which point one of us is going to have to acknowledge that he can't read it?
Okay, all right, so let's do it on the big screen.
While you're doing that,
Yeah.
underneath it, it says, Conservation Commission and CPC reserve the right to convene an executive session, and he appears to have left that. For the purpose of negotiation, he has removed negotiation. So CPC cannot negotiate price. Was there a reason that CPC is removed from the process?
Because this money, the intent of the town meeting vote was that the Conservation Commission have sole control over the disposition of this money.
No, that
No,
has anyone told Beth?
no.
No, because I know she was, we have a meeting next week.
There you go. Okay.
And actually, town meeting did vote to give this to Conservation Commission, but
There's-
not to.
There's no question.
Right.
That isn't the same as there won't be disappointment.
Right.
It's a democratic way, isn't it?
Chapter 30B.
30B, Section 16.
16.
But I don't know that you're going to be able to make that little section comment. That's so cool.
Yeah. well,
There you go. There she is. General law, Mass Legislature.
Well,
Perfect.
Wow.
How about that?
Can you read it? Do I need to make it bigger?
Stop it. And he says, Section 6, so
Section
this is it,
16.
real property disposition or acquisition of a governmental body duly authorized by general special engaged to change their rank basements, provided declared property available, disposition of this determining value through procedures customary. You're moving too far. Okay. Solicit proposals, acquiring brokers, real estate interest, exceeding 35,000, some rental place, some place in the value, short and way bound, emergency exists. Position, turnarounds, open publicly. And let's still back to the same. Okay, you can go, please. Okay. So really, the only thing that applies is the first paragraph. Please go down. If a government body duly authorized by general or specific law or special law to engage in such transaction determines that it shall rent, convey, or otherwise dispose of real property, the government body shall declare the property available for disposition and shall specify restrictions, if any, that will place on the subsequent use of the property. And that's where finding the value, et cetera, et cetera. So,
That's if we're selling it.
well, it says rent, convey, or otherwise dispose. So is this under conveyance?
Yeah, real property disposition or
Or
acquisition.
acquisition.
But to be fair, it doesn't say, so is
So,
convey
well,
acquire in this case?
Convey.
Acquiring
This
by,
is back to the good old days when we argued about words.
acquiring by purchase or rental real property or an interest therein.
Or cost exceeding 35K. Right.
Or-
So,
Yeah.
so what we're back to is he's saying that because it doesn't say that others can join in, it's our game.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that I agree, but doesn't really matter.
Do you have a copy of that, the other draft? Because I just have the one that still has CPC in it.
Oh, this one? That doesn't say draft?
Oh, yeah, I don't have that.
You have it right there. That's
But it doesn't
it.
say draft. Here.
That's the point.
Right.
Oh, you want the one that does say CPC? Oh,
No,
I see.
no, I have the one that says CPC, not the one that axes it out. Yeah. The CPC's still in here.
Oh, underneath, not at the top one.
Yeah, okay.
No. So this one here, part 4,
Right.
says the commission will undertake a process for, and then it says, commission will undertake a process for acquisition. It originally says the commission and CPC
Oh,
will
okay.
negotiate a price, so
Okay,
that's
so
gone.
I didn't have the comparison.
Yeah.
That's what it, yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
so does anybody have any questions about town council's comments under review process for funding decisions? We want to get into convey, because I'm so excited.
And did you send this to Janet?
I did send it to Janet. I didn't hear back from her.
She totally told me.
No, I didn't, but.
Okay, let's go to, so let's just pop through. So on page 1, he says, for acquisition of parcels of property for conservation purposes, by which all applications are considered as opposed to measured. I disagree, but we can't. Identifies the site proposed for acquisition, fair enough. We go to purpose section, provide funding for conservation of lands and waters within the town of Ayer. Yeah, okay, fair enough. Mass General Law 40, Section 8C.
Big C. He wanted
Big
big
C.
C instead of little c.
No, my God.
Yeah.
Any expenditure result in permanent protection of land for, okay, proposed, yeah. Fee interest in conservation land included but not limited to. One of our bullet points is now red. Does that
I know,
matter?
but in the final draft, it's not. It took
Okay.
me like half an hour to figure that out.
Under eligibility as determined by ACC. You were right, George. We never called ourselves that. I feel down. I'm sorry we weren't you kids down with the ACC. You know, it has a. You were right. It has a ring. All right, we covered the review process. He didn't mark up evaluation criteria. He didn't mark up benefits, and he didn't mark up the application, which should end up on one page, by the way.
Well, I think it does on the final draft, once I finish making all those changes.
It does indeed.
Beautiful. Very, very nice work.
Right?
Okay.
Robert is very pleased.
Well,
Yes.
so am I, and at the same time, I'm glad that town council weighed in and appears to have had an actual important thing to say that will make all sorts of trouble. So that's great. Okay,
Now you want to go to CPC next week?
what day is it?
Wednesday?
Oh,
Damn, you're busy.
just not going to be around. Damn, George is. So, I would entertain a motion to. So what is our next step? So now we have a Conservation Commission Fund application information packet. So what is the next step? To distribute said packet and see where the chips fall?
Well, that would be a start. Who would
This is the
we-
part where I get to look at you guys.
Who would we send to?
Well, so the grant that Mark the planner and I got for MRCP to do some mapping for us to help us prioritize parcels for possible purchase will be
There's
done.
some alliteration.
I know. Will be done. Has to be done by December.
The mapping.
The mapping
Uh-huh.
and the whole project has to be done by December. So we've had two meetings with the planner, and she's
Planner at MRPC.
Yep, yep. She's zeroing in on it. So we'll have a prioritized list that reflect our criteria here.
So that's the proactive part.
Yep.
So does it make sense before that happens to put something on the website, on the town website, and say, and send, does Public Spirit still do editorials?
Yeah.
Send something to the Public Spirit and maybe ask them if they'd like to, talk to us about this, and they can put something in the paper that
Make an
puts-
article?
Like an article, which gives people the information about it and also directs them to the website for more information in the information packet. Town of Ayer per the Conservation Fund established at fall town meeting, special town meeting.
Yep.
Great idea.
And this is very good. This is
I
very
know.
I think this is great.
Yeah.
I also think that you do well to do an article or some kind of write-up, and whatever you do in the paper ends up also on the website
Oh, yes.
to explain what it's about and what the purpose is, and
Right.
what the intention is.
Yep.
So, because it also helps people understand that when they come to you with this, dinky part of their lawn, that it's not what we were looking for. It's very kind of you.
Yes.
Not what we were shooting for.
And then when we have the prioritization list, is it possible, I think then, wasn't the idea that there could be some proactive contact of some of those?
Oh, absolutely. Reach
Yeah.
out to those people
Yeah,
and
yeah.
say, we are extremely excited
Yeah.
to spend our money on your parcel.
Yeah.
Yep.
How'd you like to do it?
But not until we have that list of that, so.
Great.
Well, only because it gives you a full view of the entire town, as opposed to, right now, we could, off the top of our head, pick 3 properties without even trying hard. Excuse me. Incidentally, I think there's only 3, but you know what? That you guys have to, you'll figure that out. Okay, this is wonderful. So, should we vote to accept? I think
I think so.
I would entertain a motion to accept the applicant information packet as created by the Air Conservation Commission for for administration of the Air Conservation Commission Conservation Fund. Oh, that's too many. Too many conservations.
And there's anything by town council.
Air Conservation Commission, did he add the conservation in there? Air Conservation Commission Conservation Fund. Could have named it something else.
Conservation Commission,
The
Conservation.
town of Air Conservation Fund.
Oh,
Wow.
No, but it has to specify commission.
Yeah, it has to be, yeah.
Yeah.
Air
Not necessarily the
conservation.
title.
Oh, we can live with 3 Cs. I think we can.
The ACCCF.
Oh, ACCCCCC. I see.
did someone second it?
Oh, second.
Now that it has a
Oh,
bad
did you,
Who moved it?
did you move? Okay, second.
Now that it has a bad taste in my mouth because it's got too many damn C's. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Excellent work.
Yay.
What was I looking up?
Okay. Balch Pond Dam reports. I read through those.
They're really pretty interesting.
They're very specific.
Yes.
And I still think that if they're spending $5 million, it better be to replace that entire damn dam.
Yeah.
Anybody have a different
Spillway
opinion?
And I don't know.
I mean, I can't picture that being $5 million unless you were doing an awful lot of work. It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So, I mean, never mind the fact that you don't even have to. I don't think they mentioned replacing the culvert pipe under the road. I don't remember seeing that anywhere. I don't remember them saying that they had a problem with that culvert pipe. If they had to do that bridge
Yeah.
and the dam, then there's your 5 million.
Right.
That's not what they were talking about.
Right.
I don't remember them noticing or noting that the culvert pipe had to be replaced. I think it's just the dam itself. Does me read it different?
I thought I read it different.
What do you think?
I thought it was the whole dam plus the under the bridge part, I mean, under the road part, and the, what's it called on the other side?
The dike.
The dike, yeah.
Well, the only thing that they said that needed to be done on the dike was a tree clearing, which we actually approved as a commission years ago.
Oh, not that dike, the, what's it called, so the road, here's the dam, this,
Oh, the head wall.
the head wall, the head wall on the other side.
I don't know. Did you read that? Did you read it?
No.
So, couldn't we have just gone there quickly?
Not that this is visible.
Oh, sweet Francis.
I think the head wall is all cracked and falling apart. That's what I read.
This is from the town's update of the phase 1.
So, photo of dam structure from left side of the dam. Displacement of head wall and exposed reinforcing in similar condition to phase 2. So, they're saying that this is not in good shape.
And it
Yeah,
looks
but-
like some of it might be replacing part of the spillway also.
Right, they said that there were issues with the spillway too.
Yeah.
Yeah, from the dam down.
But nothing about the culvert. So 3.5 by 7 foot culvert under
Let's
the
see.
road.
Crest of the dam is not level. Upstream slope is undercut, generally steep, vegetated with trees and brush, which is what needed to go. Erosion and surface sloughing. Upstream side, not protected against wave impact. Wave impact.
Wave. That's during hurricane.
Or a beaver dam collapse.
Those rogue waves in
Way
Falls Pond.
upstream.
Culvert is in poor condition. Culvert is in poor condition. The reinforced concrete upstream head wall is spalled, cracked, and chipped, exposing aggregate and reinforcing steel. Fill behind the downstream culvert head wall has settled or eroded, exposing loose embankment soils. Man, I didn't see this. I guess I must have missed it. I didn't see notes about replacing the culvert in the state's report, and they're the ones spending the money. It doesn't mean I didn't miss it. I just don't remember it. And he did this one in 15. And it talks about chain link fence missing, so we know they came and repaired some of that chain link fence. And I think we have new boards for the dam, so that's spiffy.
Yeah.
No, I think the boards are leaking like a sieve, actually.
Yeah.
If they were new in 2015, they're not new anymore.
Interesting. Well,
Yeah.
thank you. Which one do you have? You have the big one was the the
Yeah.
emailed one.
Yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Okay. It seems that there's at least a plan. I guess the real question is, who can we go to at the state and find out what their schedule is? Who do we talk to about the dam?
Probably somebody in the Division of Dam Safety.
Sweet Francis.
This.
But my guess would be it's probably actually DOT. You know what you can do? Remember the nice man who came in here and said, I'm going to fix all the crap in the middle of that rotary?
Yeah.
I bet he knows somebody we can talk to. Network. I bet he knows somebody at DOT that we can talk to. And they were very nice.
They were very nice.
Him and that high school Katie brought with him.
I have a contact too, so I can ask.
Well, good.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
Yes, it is. Someone. Yes, I won't name names.
Hold on a sec. I just have to. Okay. So yeah, it sounds like the. It sounds like the biggest thing. The biggest thing that we would need. to get is just some kind of guideline on, what do they plan to do now? What do they plan to do eventually?
Well,
Is this something they're going to do in 2025?
and did they decide that they actually own it? And
Well, that's what it says.
That's why they went ahead and did that
Yeah,
report?
it basically says
Yeah.
that they, whether it was theirs or the town's,
Well,
says that it's the state owns it. Where did it just go? You got rid of it that quick? That was fast. Wasn't it? I don't remember if it was theirs or the town's that said that they owned it. The state.
The state.
I swear it must have been the state's one. Because the town.
I don't think the state would have gone through the trouble of doing that gigantic report if they weren't pretty sure they owned the dam.
That gigantic report and allocating $5 million.
Yeah.
So the next question comes, okay, when are you spending the $5 million?
Yeah.
And how come they haven't started in the Rotary yet?
I don't know. They were supposed to call me and let me know what the construction schedule was.
Hey, just checking in on the construction schedule. And by the way, if you wanted to talk to somebody at DOT about projects going on in Ayer, who would you talk to?
Exactly.
Well, writes itself. Okay, so we look forward to hearing what the state says about the $5 million dam.
Yep.
Yeah, was that the $5 million man?
Damn, man.
Okay. We have a short period of time left because I see George's eyes drooping. I'm always worried about you, George, and Botox. Update Ayer Ponds brochure.
Well, this is an outreach thing, and I gave you a little packet of all.
Where is this?
I don't know.
I don't think this is in Ayer.
Where is this?
Yeah.
I think that's Grove Pond, isn't it?
Or is it
Oh, look
Long
at,
Pond Dam?
No, that's
No.
unless that's what Long
No.
Pond used to
No.
be.
Nope, that's not Long
That's
Pond.
But
not
I don't think
Pond.
so, and it just looks wrong.
where is that metal stuff?
I don't know. I found this in the filing cabinet. We have a little stack of them.
Oh yeah, no.
Um,
No, we absolutely do.
and it seems like it could use a little bit of an update.
It's gonna be in Nashua.
We could start by picking our town on the
Yeah.
cover.
Putting on.
Just,
Place
you think it's the
Sandy
Nashua?
Bar.
Yeah.
Where do you think that is, though?
Nash-
I don't recognize that at
That's the
all.
Nashua River?
It's so wide. We don't have anything else that wide.
I want a purple loose stripe in that picture.
Well, we'll start with a different picture. That would be good. So I worked on tweaking the language for a little while, and I thought, I should look and see what else we have brochure-wise. And so I found this is our newly printed map that
Yes.
Steve did.
Did you see the most important thing on the back?
Photo credit,
Oh, it's
Takashi.
owl. Oh, Takashita.
Did you notice the
The
photo credit Takashitada is in darker letters than the actual description? Because Takashi wanted credit for taking a photo through his binoculars. Did you hear the story?
It was
Through
binoculars.
his binoculars and took a photo of the owl and wanted credit. He goes, "That's my owl picture." And we're like, "Yes, Takashi, that's lovely. That's my..." And
Okay.
photo credit, Takashi Tada. I guess we actually did pretty well because we got him to move it off the front
That's
page.
funny. That's great.
You know that owl in the back? That was me, Takashi Tada. By the way, Ayer Greenway Committee. Yeah. Okay, so when was the last time the Ayer Greenway Committee met? In your estimation?
What year was that?
What year?
That's what I thought.
Well, I had a nice long.
Hold on. We're torturing George.
No, I'm gonna, I can torture him too. I had a nice long talk with Marion Stoddard yesterday, who came in to see what was up, and she had that question too. Yeah.
Marion
Oh,
Stoddard from Nashua River Watershed Association.
She is now my neighbor. At,
Autumn Ridge?
Oh, isn't that nice?
yep. She decided to move at 90.
Just decided to give up being in town where it's so busy.
Right. And retire, kind of, not at all. But, yeah. Yeah,
Well, to that end,
yeah.
okay, so first off, this Henry David Thoreau quote isn't nearly commercialized enough for.
Well, I basically want to know that spending time trying to update our collateral here is something that you would all like me to work on.
Well, I guess we have to go back to our primary questions. So number one, and obviously congratulations on getting good marks with the town administrator.
Oh, thank you.
Excellent marks.
So number one, with regard to putting the packages together, any issues? Has that been easy enough? Is that manageable, I guess is probably the best word?
Packages?
Like for our meetings and making sure that all the, all the stuff for the meetings is ready and up to date?
Yeah, it's kind of a crazy time getting ready for a meeting, but it's because the rest
Supposed to be.
The rest of it doesn't stop. Calvin still comes in, and
Then you talked in the speakerphone today.
Yeah, Marion comes in and wants to chat for an hour, and you don't say no to Marion.
Well, actually, if we have to, we're going to tell these people no. Because if you have a job,
Yeah.
that's one thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can work on a knowing habits list for you. That keeps people out of my office.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Yeah, but getting the packets, I think Thursday afternoon is a bit berserk, but
So let's-
you all get your packets.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So let's move to the next question, which is, what are the things? So, and this is just an overall discussion. I like the idea of working on these, but I'm very concerned with the number of times we've had to say we don't know where stuff is.
Oh, well, there's that.
That seems like
Yeah.
a big that.
Yeah. I'm thinking that it might be worth checking into getting an unpaid intern kind of person.
Did you know that's why we are where we are now?
Well, he was
Yeah.
paid, I think.
No, it was shape.
Initially, no, he was initially shaved, and then we got talked into paying for an additional.
Because he was doing such a good
$100.
job.
Yeah.
Well, this would be somebody to work with me, like, here, you hold these files and here, you hold, just not turn it over to somebody, because then I won't know where anything is.
Well, ostensibly, if there's a system.
Yeah.
Are we sure that we're just not understanding the system, that it's not just some wacky, out of control?
No, there are things that are misalphabetized. There are things that are just plain missing. There are things not in folders that should be in folders. There are entire folders that are missing. There's,
Bye-bye.
What years were you talking about, you think, missing folders?
I think well, we had one early folder recently. It might be a meeting you weren't at.
Well, here's a fair
We didn't
question.
have
yeah, there was something
Do you think
that,
one of us has it?
No.
Actually, no, I have one, but I was going to bring that up after. So, I have the one from the fire department, because it was given to me by Becky, and she said, you have to promise to bring this back, and I said, sure.
Okay.
And I went to the fire department, because that was when their yard flooded, and then we worked with them to build up a berm,
Yep.
so that their driveway wouldn't flood, because when their driveway flooded, the fire station flooded. That was bad. Yeah. Anyhow, I can't help but think that 1 hour a week would be best dedicated to going into the files and saying 100-001, 100-002, because there's no other way to do it.
yeah. And I did download in an Excel spreadsheet from DEP a list of
Yeah.
all of our,
Does it go all the way back to 001?
it goes pretty far back. It might not go quite that far back, but it goes pretty far back.
So, I mean, I don't know another way to do it.
Yeah.
I don't. It's a slog.
Yeah.
My Gwen, who was on our project at SAI used to pile stuff to file on her birthday.
Oof.
And I would say, why are you doing that? She goes, I'll file it on my birthday, and then her birthday would come. She'd go, you're not going to make me file on my birthday. So
Yes.
I fell for that once. I did not fall for it again.
Yeah.
And we said, look, you're just going to have to, you know what? What's your most favorite time of the day? She goes, oh, like 11:30 to 12. And I said, well, so from 11:30 to 12, you need to file this stuff because I can't come out here and see it on the top of this anymore because I can't find anything.
No.
But it got filed.
Yeah.
There was no other way to do it.
Yep.
So, other than telling that delightful Gwen story,
Mm-hmm.
love you, Gwen, I can just suggest that it's 1 hour a week. I don't know any other way to do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Come in, and while people are telling you about their weekend and you're smiling and nodding, just check stuff off. That is, I don't think one of us, but it is the card that's right there. Oh, no, I think it's a Volvo.
Oh, fine.
The reason I put my keys in here was so that I didn't lean
yeah.
forward.
But I
Anyway,
stepped on
I
it.
did that once.
okay. I don't have any problem with us working on the brochures immediately following us determining what our record-keeping issue is. Because I can't picture a bigger issue.
Yeah.
I mean, if you can't go back, and now I can also understand that there might be entire files missing because they're electronic, at which case the question becomes, well, we should have massive quantities of files from Steve Mullaney. Here's the good part. From 2007 to now, I have massive quantities of files from Steve Mullaney on my Gmail. I'm happy to resend them all to you right now.
This is a box
Yes.
from Steve Mullaney.
11,
11, count them, 11 amendments.
well, 9 amendments and 2 notices of intent from,
Careful, you're on the pointer there.
so I view, after the earlier meeting, our Joanne's initial priority is to work on this order of conditions for the oil spill.
Well, I think that I don't think that there's any.
No, and I'm gonna lean on Paul for that, because I really truly.
So he's effectively saying, can we do these in this order?
Yes.
Which is polite, and he's
Yeah.
also saying 1 meeting, 2 meetings, 3 meetings. That was very respectful.
Yeah. I don't even want to open the box.
That's the wrong attitude. You should be excited to open the box. This is what we do. This is what we do.
11, I wrote him the email that said, "Hi Steve, 11?" And he wrote back, "Yes, 11."
I was hoping I had not understood somehow.
You know, there's another side to this.
What might that be?
You're never going to be underemployed.
It's true.
Well, this is my fault too.
Yes, actually, we have to blame this all on Jess, because, well,
I
she'll
did
tell you.
stop in briefly yesterday and commented that our agendas seem to be getting in control. And this time last year, we had all that Pingree Hill dump on us and go home hours later.
Wham. Yep.
So I apologize.
I refuse to blame you.
Universe, you got me.
Yep. All right, well,
All right.
I'll kind of just put this in my when I'm all caught up.
That's a bad idea.
Our next meeting, we have a continuation of the oil spill. We have Brent Ruthier's, we have the Global Montello, and we have the Bresnahan property. How do we try to incorporate, based on the Bill Daniels rule, the first 4 of these?
Well, I guess.
Presuming that would be initially just to open up the sidewalk. So,
Well, contract signed with buyer for Plymouth house style. Style could change if buyer withdraws. Style could change if buyer withdraws. Style could change if buyer withdraws. Style could change. So, I guess I'm I'm not sure. Does that mean that those amendments would go away if the buyer withdraws? Is that what he's saying? We are coming to you to amend this because the buyer wants a Plymouth house, but if they go away, I don't know if that's what he's saying.
Well,
No, you're gonna ruin your pen, you're gonna ruin your pen! Oh.
Just need to make a hole.
so all of these, I don't understand, so all these houses, Plymouth, Bedford, and Andover houses are larger than the houses that were previously?
Yes, I think
Or
so.
they're oriented differently,
Or they're
so that
oriented
they don't
differently.
fit. So remember, well, you may not remember,
Driveways.
the original applications that we saw were like 60 by 30 boxes. So that they could do almost anything they wanted inside that area. And that was very effective. However, today, they're not 60 by 30 boxes. He's drawing what he can do because he shrunk all his lot sizes to just fit and squeeze these houses on. The lot sizes are definitely smaller than the original lots were. And so my guess would be that this is, they'd like a Plymouth house. It's oriented slightly differently, so therefore it's closer over here, or we had to tweak it and move it over there. Not the same as the original application. What do you guys say? That's my guess.
So notice of intent following negative determinations of applicability.
Yeah, that didn't make sense.
Say what?
Oh, except that we might have issued a negative determination if the work was here.
Oh, these
But
might be the
if
ones
this
where
is-
we,
If it's a greatly expanded work, it might have moved out of RDA territory.
Oh, so maybe there was an order of conditions that you
No,
didn't.
no, these
no,
are
it's
two
like-
negative DOAs. But we might have issued negative DOAs for
Are-
a couple sites
Okay.
from an RDA.
Yeah.
And if the work expanded into more buffer zone work, then
So now,
I think we talked about this with
so these are
Stephen
NOIs, not amendments. So that's
Deschamps.
why they're. But then they wouldn't be amendments.
No,
Well,
two
two
are
of them
these.
I see. I see. I see. I
Nine
see.
are amendments.
Yeah, he's a little more specific on this. Two of them are NOIs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 are plain requests for amendment, and 3 are requests for further amendments to extended amended orders of conditions.
Yeah.
Well, so don't we have to have a discussion to decide whether we allow amendments to amendments? Doesn't that fall into the amendments?
It would,
Remember, if you amend an order of conditions, we have the choice.
right.
We have to decide whether it gets heard or not.
Right. Further amendments.
So what that means is that on the 23rd, we would need to talk about those amendments. Now,
Yeah.
we should probably talk about something that's even more important. So, at some point, I'm not going to be here.
Right.
So, Skippy Go Lucky there is going to be coming back next week, and we're going to sign off.
Mm-hmm.
So, that was kind of my commitment.
That was your, so the next meeting might be your last. Have you done a letter? Oh, you have to know what the last meeting is. Yeah.
I'm not really worried about a letter of resignation.
Well,
It is possible to just not come, but however, I will do my best to.
well, except we can't get a new member unless Robert has
Of
your
course,
real.
of course, I wouldn't do that to him.
Thank you.
So tonight was our meeting for commission business. Our next meeting is a real meeting, and at that point, we would be hearing these other applications. So it would be possible, and I don't think detrimental for me to vote on those, attend the site walks and vote on those, or I could just. So did anybody miss the meetings with Global and those guys? You did.
But global, I mean, I've had the project reviewed through zoning board. I'm familiar with it. I think in that situation, as long as you've reviewed the material and the applicant is agrees that if you weren't at a meeting, and I don't see any reason why they wouldn't.
Well, either way,
Yeah.
George, John, and Vine are there,
Yeah.
so we have a quorum either way.
I mean, there's no way to perfectly do that. And I think
Well, that's why I'm just debating, because the intention would not be to, we have to continue this, and
yeah.
that would not be the intention.
Yeah. I mean, I'll be on the sidewalks, and
I don't think anyone's going to complain.
I don't think so.
You could probably mention to the applicant on the sidewalk
Yeah,
that, you'd like to continue on with the project because you're
Right.
familiar with it and you're here on the sidewalk,
yeah.
which quite frankly is much more important than the first meeting anyway.
Right. Plus, most
Yeah.
applicants are going to say, oh, you might have quorum issues if I don't agree to this, and then I'll have to go through the process
You can
again.
even bring that up.
So, I'm not concerned. So.
Okay.
Plus, I did such a, in-depth playing around with George's excellent notes that I almost feel like I was there.
I know it did. I read through those notes. It's like, wow, is she really there? Maybe she was there. Maybe she was listening again.
I did look at a few
I'm
things.
sensing some.
I-
Did you watch the tape?
I did most of it. I did catch somebody calling me Jessica on her wonderful minutes, but referred to me as Jessica when you did the meeting minutes approval.
In a negative way?
No, not negative. But
I would hope not.
You used Jessica.
Jessica.
I used to get in trouble as a kid as Jessica.
Oh, yeah, that's the only yeah, of course.
I find things to be terms of endearment.
Thank you.
All right.
I took it as such.
I would hope so. I'm sure that's how it was meant.
You had mentioned it didn't make it onto the agenda, but in your text of succession.
Yes, as in you'll be successful when I'm gone.
Yes,
So
we will be
what's
successful.
the right way? So I don't know if you folks want to have a conversation. I don't know if how you want to do it. I don't know what your thoughts were. I didn't know what your plan was. So don't. All I know is that due to outside factors, it appears that my last meeting is August 9th.
Okay.
It would make the most sense.
Yes. So why don't we all think about that? Talk about with John. I know one of the big sticking points is nobody else wants to do it.
That's I think the big sticking point is nobody wants to do, and just fill in the blank.
Yeah, and the other thing I would put out there is that Joanne, as she needs to contact somebody daily, can usually get in touch with me.
You're hurting my feelings.
No,
I
and
answer
often-
every text.
Often get in touch with you.
Do I ever miss one?
And the question is,
I think you did miss one,
When?
like tonight.
No, I sent you a say what?
yeah.
Yeah, and I sent you a text back and you didn't.
Oh, well, I didn't respond to your text because you answered my question.
So the thing would be.
I was eating leftover gnocchi and sausage
Ah.
from lunch today at Lou Dahl's in North Haven.
Oh.
It was very good.
Good place for Italian.
So what's
Greater
your-
New Haven.
Can we get back to Jess's question?
I so should have. I should have had a
Well-
striped bass.
How easily we
we
tangent.
divert, yes.
I'm sorry. It was lunch.
So one question would be if if George or you were chair, John's not ready to be chair and he knows it.
Wait. So, didn't you mention during MACC that guy says, "Yeah, I've been doing this for 2 months and I'm chairman"?
Who said
Wait,
that?
what?
Didn't someone mention? Maybe it was you
no,
mentioned.
I
Someone
don't think so.
mentioned that during the MACC
Oh.
conference.
Yeah, I was in one session, I'm preparing, and there was a guy from the Cape who had been just on the commission for a few months, and...
They had a revolving chairmanship. They
Yeah.
spun the bottle,
Right.
and he.
Well, that came up when I attended the MACC as well.
I think.
Right.
Yeah, I think
One
we should.
meeting.
That's what I'm saying. I think you brought it up.
Did I bring that? Yeah.
I think you did.
Rotating chair.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which would
So,
be also interesting.
right.
But the thing is, the only point I was going to make was how easy are you? I mean, whoever's chair needs to be available, at least occasionally, for questions that come from Joanne, or we can keep up the current system where Joanne was able to talk to both Bill and me. So I was hidden figure in the background.
Or we could get one of those
Maybe.
lawn darts, and I could just throw it into the room while the three of you sit here and see who it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm having so personally, I'm having a really hard time managing my job.
Yeah.
to the point where I probably will start looking for another job. It's
Sorry to hear
it's
that.
too demanding. It's
Yeah.
it's a startup company. It's a lot of responsibility.
So now would not be the time for you to either take on chair
Yeah,
or
Or
clerk.
minutes.
When I'm at work, I can't
Yeah.
do anything else
Right.
but
Yeah.
work. I can't even call my husband sometimes.
Right, right.
So there's benefits.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Don't you guys text?
We do.
Yeah,
But
that's all you
sometimes,
need.
no, but sometimes I'm in the lab. I don't have my
Yeah.
phone with me, so.
So how available are you during the workday?
I'm pretty available.
Okay.
I have some connectivity issues, but
Yeah.
In the city?
yeah,
Wow. With your phone?
yeah.
Huh.
Well, just on when you send a text to more than one person, because I need a data line to see that.
Oh. Oh, you have to Wi-Fi to group text?
Yeah, I need a 4G.
Interesting.
Hmm.
There's a place in Boston without it?
Well, it comes and goes.
Hmm.
Oh, fun. Where are you in Boston?
Wow.
Chelsea.
Oh, Chelsea.
Tell me about it.
That's like Wareham isn't the Cape. Yes, it is. No, it isn't. And neither is Plymouth. Chelsea.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty much available.
Okay.
And you don't have a problem with me also sticking my fingers in, as I've been doing? Not problematically, have I?
I've been furious some days, but I've managed to live with it.
Don't open that can of worms.
Yeah.
Really, 4G? What service? Verizon?
Right.
Ugh.
Oh,
Yeah, I want to get rid of it.
Soon to be T-Mobile.
Verizon's not bad.
Yeah.
No, they're under 3.3. So, it sounds like you all have some things to think about.
And we will carry on.
I know you will. I have no fear. We've worked like a seamless unit.
So I'm just going to throw this wrench into all of this. What happens if we don't come to terms with our applicant?
Skippy-go-lucky?
Yeah.
What terms would we not come to? We
In
described
the-
everything we were going to do tonight.
Order of conditions.
Going to put that order of conditions together over the next week. You and I, and probably Jess, are going to work on those orders together to make sure that they adequately respond to all the things we talked about tonight,
Right.
especially the snippy parts.
Yes.
And we're going to email them over and say, this is your chance. You have 2 days to review these, or this doesn't make it for the next meeting.
Okay.
Basically, if you get these squared away, so we're going to shoot for next Friday,
Mm-hmm.
say you have 2 days to make this. Review over the weekend, send them back to us on Monday, and say, yep, I'm good with it. Or, if there are continued revisits, it's not going to make it for the for the week, and you're going to be in on the 23rd. Congrats.
Rats. That's rats for you too.
No?
Oh, okay.
No, because at that point I'll say, yeah, bing, bang, boom.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
You're gonna love it. It's gonna be so much easier. You'll get that new guy who shows up and you just make him chair. Won't no one care. I do what? You sit right in that front seat, that one.
Yeah.
That's a good one. Taking my name tag.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, you better take your name tag.
Yeah.
I thought about it because my grandfather's name tag is in the door to his old shop, so I was
Oh.
gonna
Yeah.
take mine off.
Yeah.
And you got the message from Robert that at some point Board of Selectmen would
I
probably...
appreciate the sense of it, yes.
I'll leave that between you and Robert. And ultimately up to you.
That wasn't the purpose of why I did it.
Hmm?
It wasn't the reason for why I did it.
Oh, I know.
So, okay. Do you have any updates that we need to discuss that we haven't covered?
the only one I want you to know about is the, everything out in Greater Air is pretty good. Nothing.
Did you learn nothing from Jess saying earlier, it looks like everything's coming together? I mean, that's...
I just
Yeah, that one's on you.
pretty good. Pretty good. So the open space and recreation plan, which I have a printed out copy of here, was submitted to the state by the Open Space and Recreation Plan Committee.
Excellent.
Incomplete.
Incomplete?
So,
Is that what the state told them?
yes, here are these 10 things that you, Town of Air, need to do in order for this to be complete enough for us to give you any grant money should you be lucky enough to win a grant.
This happened before, you know. This is a repeat.
You know, and I'm never gonna ever
We have a female
be in
lieutenant
favor
governor.
of
Yes, she's Karen
Going with
Polito. She's from Shrewsbury.
the cheapo
I
version
forgot
from
that.
that school, Conway School.
She doesn't get a lot
Should
of
have paid a
press.
professional.
Well, she's the lieutenant governor.
Well, to be fair, Charlie Baker doesn't get a lot of press. We've had a lot of press on other stuff.
Yeah.
So, fisheries and wildlife, that should be easy enough. Environmental challenges?
Well, so Robert looked at this letter and said, ooh, I'm not sending this, said Robert, back to the committee to finish this. I'm asking staff. We're going to divvy these tasks up
Get it done. Yeah.
and get it done.
Get it done.
And then once all the information is collected, we're going to send it back to the committee so they can integrate it. One of the things on there for conservation is finishing this 3-page long spreadsheet of town-owned properties. And we need to add to
Where are
it.
you seeing that? That's not in this list of you missed these things. Where do you-
Yeah, it is. It is.
Discussion, the table that lists town-owned conservation and recreation properties must be expanded to include columns on current use, condition, recreation potential, type of grant used to purchase and or renovate, public access, and degree of protection.
Yeah. And it must be 100 parcels.
Yeah. 100 parcels.
Can't be town-owned conservation and recreation properties?
We
Can't be
don't-
100 parcels.
Well, the table that's in that report
I'm-
is 100 parcels. So,
Well, that doesn't mean it's right.
hey, I was just going to say that. It's striped.
This thing is a nightmare.
It is a complete nightmare.
And the committee hasn't met since last fall.
Yes.
I don't think this is it. I'm in the wrong place. Okay.
Anyway, it's going to take,
Mm.
yeah. The good news is that
Well, these aren't properties that are owned by the town at all.
well, there are two sets. There are two lists in there. So, and they're not really well labeled. So, what's the name of that list above the red
It
bar?
says chapter and vacant properties. So it should be, this should say chapter 61 and vacant properties.
Okay. Well,
So that's
keep-
this one. This one should have been labeled better too.
Right. So
This one just says government-owned property.
Yeah. But it really is only town-owned property, and they want it expanded to state and,
The state wants it expanded to state and
yeah,
State-owned?
state-owned properties
It's this.
State-owned properties.
in air.
So that's only one.
That's
I don't
just the
know.
what the
The pheasant farm.
fishing game,
Yeah.
the pheasant farm.
So two. Pheasant farm and
Oh,
then the fishing game office.
office, yeah.
In the dam.
Damn.
Damn.
And the rotary.
In the rotary.
I just did them all for you.
Okay, thanks.
Why aren't these words capitalized?
The whole plan is kind of
This is supremely irritating. Park Street, but street's not capitalized. Snake Hill Road, Hill and Road aren't capitalized. What's going on?
Yeah.
Are you telling me that the school is on 96 acres?
Oh, at least I would think.
Does it include
56?
does that include the water tower? The water tower? And
well,
It's
is that
65.
parcel?
65 acres.
Both schools together. Well, anyway, so that's huge, and all those blank columns, all those little boxes, all these little boxes
That weren't filled out?
that weren't filled out now need to be filled out.
It's not me. And when you blow it up, you can't see it either. It's 65. Anyway,
Yeah, so what did I just do? Use the arrow keys. So everybody, not just me, has a big chunk of work to do on this.
So, Joanne, you said on here it was approved by the state?
It was
Provisionally.
approved
It was
by the state. We have to do these 10 things in order to get any money.
oh, I see.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
interesting.
Okay.
The standpipes are listed as being off Highland Avenue.
The what place?
The water pipes. But that's not true. Highland Avenue ends. That was always Richardson's property. They're behind it. They're not off Highland. If anything, they were off, what's the road that cuts through in the place that we said don't build it? What's this? Elizabeth Estates. What's that road?
Oh,
Norwood Ave.
Yeah.
If anything, the standpipes are off Norwood Ave. Does it matter that this list is not only inappropriate but wrong?
I don't know. I really
Just saying.
don't. Yeah.
I think that'd be the kind of thing people would know.
Would this be something that a company like David E. Ross or something could help with?
Well, I guess the real,
Land
I hate to tell you, I have a feeling that the answer to that is going to come back. That's why people in town have jobs. If I were to guess.
Yeah.
Okay.
The only other thing is this,
At 10:15 left.
I know, but this is the memo from Mark Wetzel about Brent Ruthier's garage
Oh, yeah.
project.
Within the Aquifer Protection Overlay District?
Yes.
Wait, what? How is this in the Aquifer Protection Overlay District and the other houses on Willow Road weren't?
I can show you the map, except I just turned off the machine.
What Aquifer Protection District would that be?
It's a zoning district.
Zoning district.
Yeah,
for
no, but
spectacle.
an Aquifer Protection District would be based on a well. There's no well near here.
Well, no,
Well,
there's the wellhead, there's zone 1 and zone 2
Right, which is
wellhead
state
protection.
designations, right?
There's this purple striped aquifer protection overlay district. I don't know what the underlying,
It would be water, at least what's underlying.
I know, but I don't know if it's not a wellhead thing, and I don't know what aquifer it's based on, is I guess what I'm trying to say. But it's a zoning issue.
Okay.
Shows up on the zoning map.
So he says, stormwater infiltration resulting from impervious area added by garage proposed by construction of porous pavement. Designs and maintained to be effective in infiltrating runoff into the ground. Maintenance requires quarterly vacuum sweeping. Costly for homeowner undertaking, not typically recommended for single-family driveways. No infiltration was done. High soil permeability is required. Groundwater recharge calculations are unclear. What storm is used?
Yeah, this is.
This sounds like this needs to go back to, has this gone to our friend,
Kyle.
right out of my head, Kyle Couchard. I kept wanting to call him Vile Couchard. So has this gone,
Because I have to see him a lot.
Some Kind of Wonderful was playing today at the Home Depot as I was on my way back. Trying to get that out of your head after a while. Can I get a witness?
So this should go to Kyle?
It has to go to Kyle.
I'm sure Mark is gonna, it went to the planning board, and so the planning
Board would have disseminated.
Yeah. Mark
Yeah, but the interesting part is the
is
planning board doesn't have anything to do with this, with the driveway.
the aquifer overlay used to require a Board of Health special permit, and now it comes from the planning board.
Did he file with the planning board?
I don't know. Well, he must have.
Well, I guess. Yeah, he must have. He must have. I just didn't know if Mark read it from ours and then sent it to. Okay. Zoinks.
Yeah.
So this puts his application up in the air.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think it would hurt to just take our copy and forward it to Kyle too. Just
I don't think it hurts to tell Kyle that
Yeah.
we received this and just ask him if he got it.
yeah.
There's also a Board of Health issue with their needing to know where the septic system is on that property.
What?
They just need to know where it is, because apparently
There's a septic
nobody
system.
knows where it is.
So they're still septic? They're not tied in?
Hmm.
Oh boy.
Um,
I guess my concern is so I guess the only positive is that all these things are coming out because they're supposed to be known, not you know. And at the end of it, if he all of a sudden said, you know what, I'm just abandoning the project, none of this would go anywhere. So he's not being punished for filing.
Right.
That would be the key thing.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Your wetlands in a nutshell looks pretty interesting.
This is a lovely, lovely, lovely graphic, and I'm going to try to figure out a way to make it bigger and post it somewhere up in the office. It's beautifully written.
It's
easy-
very well done for places with rice paddies and coral reefs.
and mangroves and if you look hard enough, you find us in there too.
Do
If you look hard enough?
Yeah, you have to look hard enough to find where it's raining and recharging the ponds, and we're in there.
I don't know.
Keep looking, keep looking.
Only 0.75% of the world's fresh water is accessible for direct human use.
That's not very much.
Well, it's also kind of arrogant. All right, George, did you have anything to talk about before we leave? Jess?
Let me get this.
Statement on North Korea, maybe?
No.
Did you want to pass out any tapes that you might have from contact you had with President Trump where you recorded discussing a Playboy Bunny's payment with him?
You might want a copy of some emails I sent to Mitch McConnell. Special place in hell.
I probably sent the same type of emails. Bonnie?
No.
John?
John doesn't seem to have anything to say tonight.
No.
I would accept a motion to adjourn.
So,
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.